This episode of Limit Break Radio is made possible by our generous Patreon donors, including Mazarin Ferenz of Hyperion, Gurzagors Met from Moogle, and Sevo Kevo Royuki on Gilgamesh. Thank you so much for your support. If you want to support Limit Break Radio, visit patreon.com/limitbreakradio.
Live from Aorzia. Limit Break with your hosts, Aniero.
I'm sorry, I didn't want this to be weird. I just came here to talk about foreskin.
Kallo.
It's not my fault you're not a Rico Suave dude.
Juxtaposition.
You've honestly never said one thing I have ever found at all funny, bro.
Eskalia.
But seriously, whenever I'm sad, the only fixer is a mixer.
And Nika.
So you tell me, little miss all that, what do you want to do?
LimitBreakRadio.com.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to Limit Break Radio, the most hated Final Fantasy podcast in Aorzia.
Whoa. To be fair, they only hate like 20% of it.
Oh, I know where that joke's going.
Welcome to the show today. Yeah, it's just you and me, buddy. We're in the hate corner. How's that feel?
Just sit in your hate corner?
Wait, people hate Eskalia? I was thinking just you. People hate you.
Not everyone liked Eskalia.
Yeah, I thought
look at
people
chat,
hate
maybe.
me.
He's number 6. Number 6.
Not because
People
he's
have embraced
hated.
being number 6,
Yeah.
though. It's actually pretty amazing.
It's like a thing
When
now.
people
By the
don't
way, I
realize
like-
he's there, they can't hate him.
Right. I like my new drop, by the way, where like the joke of me being a drunk on stream is now carried over into the show.
It's actually not a new drop. It's been used before.
It's- yeah.
Way to not listen to the episodes.
Way to
Sorry.
tune in. Nice job, ass.
Was
So
that, like,
welcome
last
to the
week?
show.
You dumb dick.
Welcome to Limit Break Radio. We're excited to be back this week, and yes, we are a weekly Final Fantasy XIV podcast now, thanks to your support at patreon.com/Limit Break Radio. Thank you guys so much. And if you want to support Limit Break Radio, if you want to support Final Fantasy XIV podcasting that you may love or hate, head on over to patreon.com/Limit Break Radio, but you can also head on over to limitbreakradio.com too and subscribe to the podcast. Joining me today, we've got a full crew once again, and we're also in the LBR studios. Whoa, hey, I just switched it to the wrong UI again. Whoa.
And this is where I realized I'm not there.
I got you a chair.
Oh my
I
god!
told you I'm so tired.
Oh my god!
Juxta went the
I'm
extra
functioning on
mile
sleeping
today.
on an airplane. I have that much sleep, which is barely any.
Juxta went the extra mile today and actually got an extra chair so we can all sit down, and neither Eskalia nor Nika show up today.
Has the decency to show
I will
up.
be there shortly.
No, we are getting rid of both of those chairs. You two can sit on the floor from now on.
Yeah, you guys take that shit for granted.
Oh, is that Kooky over in the corner there waiting?
That is Kooky,
Oh,
yeah.
Kooky, we got her good.
Yeah, I made her a desk, kind of.
Nice. Nice.
She can take show notes.
Yep.
I totally forgot that was the thing.
Sorry,
I need to
he
wake
always has to remind me, like, as we're leaving to come here. He's like, "Did you go to the room?" And I'm like, "What the fuck? What, room?" He's like the studio. And he goes,
You
"Oh,
noob.
right."
You noob.
Yeah.
Way to go.
Oh,
do we
man.
get our introductions?
So joining me today, of course, we've got Kallo Landis. I don't have a clever one for you today.
That's all right. What up?
How you doing?
I'm doing, man.
What you been doing recently?
Steaming. Oh my god, the Steam sale.
Oh yeah, dude. Steam
Like
summer
I
sale.
thought,
for
all
real.
right, first of all, like people are like, "Oh, you better make sure your wallet's prepared." I'm like, or you could just have self-control, guys. Right?
No.
Right out the window.
Yeah,
wow.
no, that didn't last very long, did it?
Yep.
Yeah, I was totally the same way. I'm like, why would you buy these stupid games? But I'm like, holy shit, this game is $1.49.
Yeah, exactly.
4 packs for $5. Yeah, I'm gonna buy that.
And then there's like 6 of them, and then before you know it, you're like, oh my god, where did $150 go?
That happens over Black Friday too, where you're like, oh, well, I guess I need 4 copies of this game for 80 cents. I mean, me and all my friends can play this game. Never.
Yeah. All right,
No,
guys.
but the ones I've downloaded so far, they're really awesome, and I plan on streaming them soon.
Stoon.
Streaming them soon.
Yes.
Live.
Coming soon to Limit Break Radio. We'll have some Steam games.
Stew.
Yes. Juxtaposition, the one, the only, the original Dick Ninja joining us.
Dick Ninja. Oh, yeah.
Of course, on the drops, as always. How
We
you
have
doing?
such big plans for Dick Ninja.
Oh, yeah. But not Nick Ninja, though. That guy sucks.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
Nick
We
Ninja.
We have the plans. They are about 9.5 inches.
We've also got joining us on Skype, as always, Nika Kyanian. How you doing?
Sup? I'm tired, but I'm good.
You're not here. Where are you? I don't see you.
I'm coming.
I can't even acknowledge your presence. You're not even.
She's communicating over the link shell right now.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
I see. Okay.
In your ears.
Well, thanks for joining us or not joining us. Whatever. Can't be bothered to show up. No, I'm kidding. Thank you. I know, Nika, I know you had a really busy schedule this weekend, and
Yes.
so we do appreciate you, you making the extra effort to be here. We're a little bit later today, starting at 4 p.m. as opposed to 2 p.m. like we normally do, and that's because Nika had such a busy schedule. So we're glad that she was able to join us.
Yes. Thank you for accommodating. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you, audience, listeners, for accommodating us as well.
Gotta be honest, I like this 4 o'clock start.
I know. To be honest, 4 p.m. start may be the new thing from now on. This was a lot easier for me.
It's really convenient to get to sleep until 2.
Yeah, no, definitely. And also joining us, Eskalia Ryumasa, fresh from Colossal Con. Dark! And you kind of smell like Con as well. Did you get the Con
Smell
plague?
like Con?
Yeah.
No, I did not get Con plague.
Oh, fortunate
I heard
for
a
you.
lot of people did get sick this weekend.
No, Con plague was in full force, especially at Colossal Con. Totally awesome.
Well, how can it not? The whole place is just a big, gigantic petri dish. I mean, you're swimming in other people's bodily fluids. There is a bar at a hot tub. There's no way.
And con people aren't generally clean anyway.
There's no way there's not at least some jizz in that pool. Like, it's got to happen.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
I cannot wait for next year now.
Make sure you go get yourself tested.
Definitely. No, I've got some results from a poll I conducted while I was there, by the way.
Is that right?
Yeah, for a little later
Is it
on.
in any way relevant to what we're talking about today?
Oh, it's very relevant to you.
Oh, okay, good. Awesome. Welcome to Limit Break Radio, our second weekly episode. We're excited to be back again, and looking forward to next week. This is our last week before Heavensward, guys.
It is.
Friday is early access, which is 90K day.
Which
and
means
then,
we're going to be able to talk about some early access stuff next episode.
yes, we are. We're going to be able to.
Are we going to be in the studio, or are we going to be somewhere in Heavensward?
I don't know. We're going to have to find out.
mystery.
You're going to have to tune in to find out, and you can.
Wait, guys, I don't know how I feel about gating LBR content behind the expansion.
Yeah, it's kind of a dick move, guys. It's kind of a.
I was going to attend the show, but I don't have time to play through the storyline.
Yeah, what about all of those people who have alts that just made alts so that they can come visit the studio? Now they have to do all of that work to be able to join us in Heavensward? That's bullshit.
Suck it, Tit Cream. You don't like it? Get better.
There you go.
You did one in Gold Saucer, and don't you have to be 15 to get to Gold Saucer?
Exactly, and we got no end of crap about
I
that.
was in my chair.
Wait, really?
Yeah, we did get a little bit of crap about that.
Guess
We
what?
did.
Okay, what's the big difference
I've
between
decided
no
that's
end
my
of
chair
crap
now.
and a little bit of crap?
We got a little bit.
Actually, Nika, you kind of smell. Could you move over by Juxta, please?
No.
Please
Nope.
move over. Please,
Too bad. I'm going to
please
sit
move
here
over-
just to torment you. Nope.
Please move over by Juxta.
Nope.
So join us next Sunday. That is June 21st, probably at 2 p.m. I'm going to guess at 2 p.m. Maybe, I don't know. I think the 4 p.m. is working, but the 2 p.m. I think we set that standard. So we're going to try to adhere to that. So join us next Sunday, the 21st at 2 p.m. Eastern for the next episode of Limit Break Radio, and we'll finally be able
Heavensward
to talk about hands-on Heavensward. Now that's going to be really exciting.
How beautiful the 90K message looks.
No.
Oh yeah.
No, we're gonna
look at how that login screen changed, guys.
No, okay. It's gonna be good. I
love your confidence.
I am going to be streaming at whatever time it starts, like 5 a.m., 6 a.m. Eastern time.
So do you want to explain why you're going to be streaming?
What do you mean, why?
Well, because you haven't been streaming for a long time. I got to call you out, Juxta.
I got to explain why I haven't been streaming. I had the case of the Kallos where my computers wouldn't handle streaming. I would try...
wouldn't... hang on.
This is a little bit different.
Hang on. Well,
this is a self-inflicted version of the Kallo.
Hang on, no. I just love how Kallo gets like $1,800 allocated for a computer, and then suddenly, the next week, Juxta's like, hey, my computer's not really working, guys. What's that all about?
I was trying to give Kallo more than enough time to stream, and you know what?
I think we were all having that moment after Kallo's computer got built where we're just like, I could push it off a table.
It is kind of like someone in the room just showed that they have the biggest penis and everyone else knows it.
9.5 inches.
You're like, God damn it, guys. And you just got to live with it from then on.
Anyway, moving on. Whenever I would try to start streaming, my connection would just drop, and I would my computer would try to connect through OBS multiple times, and that's when you would get that Twitter spam. It's like, Juxta has just started streaming D&D. Juxta has just started streaming D&D. Juxta has just started streaming D, and then people would come into the channel like, why isn't he streaming? Got 8 messages. Well, that's why. Because for whatever goddamn reason, my computer would just lose all internet connectivity. It would not even connect to Chrome.
I just thought of something. Know what we know now? Did you ever try to reinstall .NET Framework?
Shut the fuck up. My God.
All right. But anyway, so yes, your computer was having problems. Wouldn't allow you to stream, didn't have .NET Framework, so you couldn't install a lot of the stuff
that make it so easy.
The things that make our stream look pretty good, like our notification
bar,
yeah,
all that good
all that kind of stuff. Couldn't do any of that.
I could jury rig it. I had
you could.
I had 3 screens up with everything. So I had the little screen pop up and stuff. So I could jury rig it, and it was awful. But yeah.
So, long story short, all right, so Juxta finally decided it's time to suck it up and reformat his computer because nothing's technically wrong with it. It wasn't spitting out parts or anything.
No.
But it was time to reformat.
It just had such deep-rooted...
But the problem was...
Why did it take you so long to reformat?
Well, as I understand, his CD-ROM was broken.
Right, so we got him a new one.
Right, yeah.
We bought him a brand new CD-ROM.
Brand new one.
But... It didn't have power
that also didn't work. That one also didn't work, right?
It didn't work.
How come it didn't work?
Well, I don't know.
I
tried everything I knew how to do.
You plugged it into the motherboard.
I plugged it into the motherboard, and it still wouldn't work. No lights were turning on. It wouldn't eject.
No.
It wouldn't do nothing. Okay. Yeah.
Does anyone else see what's wrong with this equation?
And so you remember to plug it into the power supply, right?
Right? Yeah.
The what?
The power supply, the thing that actually provides power to the different components of the computer.
Why would you need to do that?
Well, because everything else is plugged into it, and that's how power is supplied to all of the components.
It's a CD-ROM. The power goes through the motherboard into the CD-ROM. Why would you need to plug it directly into the power supply? That seems really stupid and convoluted.
So he got the new one working by plugging in the power supply, and then he thought, well, actually, the old one, I wonder if... So he plugged the old one in to the power supply, and the old one worked. So he had to return the new one.
Wow. Good job.
I didn't have to. Okay.
Oh my God.
I just decided I'd rather have the $31.
Wow.
By the way, I think.
Okay, so just so everyone knows, me and Kallo, we have said from the start that we are computer illiterate.
I have said from the start. You have actually made fun of me with him before.
Yeah.
Okay, and apparently you're computer retarded too.
Yeah.
So fuck you, dude.
Fuck you.
Fuck you.
So,
Okay, this is our like our weakness. This is our Aniero's Final Fantasy Tactics, okay? Because apparently that game is really, really hard.
Oh, I hate that game.
If you're like not used to hearing Juxta like cuss to any real extent, like he does sometimes, but never to any real extent, I pick up my phone and I've got like 20 messages when his computer is failing to start streaming of just him cursing in all caps constantly, and I'm like, did like someone stab his cat or something?
I was so mad.
If someone stabbed his cat, you would be seeing like you know, pictures of
congrats.
Glee.
Rainbows everywhere. It's the best day ever.
What?
His cat's a dick.
So okay, that was a very long-winded way of
saying Juxta's dumb.
Yeah, of saying. Well,
They're
we
dumb.
already knew that, but Juxta will be making his grand return to the stream here very shortly.
Oh yeah, that's how we started that conversation.
We're going, Heavensward streaming day.
Yes. So, okay, we do have some pre-Heavensward stuff planned. We don't have a schedule. I gotta say, I'm so jealous of Miztech. MTQ Capture on Twitter last night put out a schedule of all of the stuff she's doing around Heavensward release.
And we got shit for it. And Nero's like, guys, we need to get our shit together.
We do need to get our shit together. Holy shit, that's so impressive.
We have jobs, okay?
Does Miztech work?
I'm sure she does.
I'm sure she does.
But she doesn't have to share the stream with 4 other assholes.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, so that's why you don't stream more, is because the rest of us are taking up all the time.
Actually, you know what? One of the things that stops me from streaming more is normally when we stream for like 5 or 6 hours.
Yeah, that's true.
And sometimes I'll come home and be like, well, I have a few hours to kill, before like I have to go to bed or something. So I'd like to stream, but like, is streaming for 2 hours okay?
You can stream for 2 or 3 hours, yeah.
All right. Yeah. I mean, a few times, like I've done it once where I was on there for 2 hours and I passed it off to somebody.
Well, no, but just think of it this way: like, if you were watching and someone streamed for 3 hours, like, what show would you watch more of than like 3 hours? If like it was just like one long TV show.
Daredevil.
See, not really. Canada says Miz is an X-ray tech. We have no excuse, guys. I mean, that
X-ray tech.
That's what they said. I don't know.
I think we could probably fashion out some sort of schedule.
I mean, now that I have 1 week
Are you
left before summer
shitting me?
vacation, I can stream all the time after.
Are you
the
shitting
19th.
me, dude? Look at all of the effort that we have put into trying to get this scheduled, and we can barely get this right.
I think what our problem is none of us have jobs that have set schedules. Every single week, my schedule is different.
How nice for you, Nika.
So
and Nika humble brags again. Nice job.
No, I'm just saying.
So anyway, yes, we do have some pre-Heavensward stuff planned. If we get something in writing, hopefully if one of us can get our shit together, we'll post about it on our website, limitbreakradio.com, facebook.com/limitbreakradio. You can find out about it on Twitter, or just follow us. We'll talk about it.
I like how you looked right at Callow when you said that.
Yeah,
by the
do
way.
some shit.
Oh, I was paying attention.
Yeah.
Hey, I've been doing D&D the past few weeks. Pretty solid.
Good excuse. So anyway, we want to encourage you to call in. If you want to call the show, you can send a Skype message on over to Limit Break Radio, or you can give us a call on your regular ass phone. That's 810-515-8715. That information is on the screen. Feel free to do that anytime. If there's a topic that you feel passionate about, or that you feel we get wrong, because apparently YouTube comment sections think I get everything wrong. But if you want to call and challenge anything that we say on the show, that's the really fun part about this show. You can call us and let us know. So add us on Skype, Limit Break Radio, 810-515-8715.
And if you really don't like one of us, or you really hate Aniero, please call in, because that would be hilarious, and I will definitely take you.
And we can all rag on him together.
Yeah.
Yay!
That'll be fun.
Bring it, bitches. All right. So coming up is E3 very soon.
Next week.
In just 2 days, June 16th.
Yeah, this week.
It's June 16th through the 18th. And FF14 will, of course, have a presence at E3. The new jobs will be playable. The new zones will be explorable. And the new flying mounts will be rideable. The Heavensward preliminary patch notes are going down. That's JP only. That's Tuesday the 16th at 10 p.m. Eastern. I'm sure that there's going to be some live translating going on Twitch. I don't know. We might be here.
We should have some kind of presence.
Well, yeah.
I mean, 10 p.m. Eastern.
That's like when
That's our time.
Yeah. We're normally here for Reset Day streaming anyway, so we'll probably be able to cobble something together. The next day, Wednesday the 17th, we'll see a brand new Duty Commenced episode that starts at 3:30 p.m. in the afternoon, and that's going to be showcasing the playable content out at E3. That's smack dab in the middle of the afternoon. I know that I'm definitely not around. I'll be watching it though, and of course we will have some kind of reaction to all of the info that's dropped at E3, and then there is Producer Live Letter 22. That's of course in English and Japanese. That's Thursday the 18th, smack dab in the middle of the day, 1 p.m. Eastern. That's going to be going over airship crafting, new loot systems, and more. So we'll definitely, someone, I'm pretty sure someone will be around for that. Hopefully someone will be around. But again, we will, I think what we'll do is we'll have a limit breaking news that contextualizes all of that info, or at least gives you an info dump of all of that info. And
I wish we could be there.
We do. We really wish that we could be there. Maybe next year. I think that's something to work towards. So I'd actually applied for credentials and then totally forgot that they had asked me for more information. And
what the fuck?
Oh, God.
Yeah.
We're not at E3 because of Aniero, guys.
Yeah.
Aniero dropped the ball.
I did.
They were probably going to have us out there first class.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I'm sure. So we're going to talk about.
Hold on. Before we go on, I'd like to say something. So as probably a lot of people know, you guys were all on State of the Realm the other day, right?
Yeah.
Okay. It was a cool show. I actually watched it. For once, I watched a show, and y'all did pretty good. I actually kind of enjoyed it, but I need
That's
to actually.
High praise.
Wow.
Yeah, wow.
It was actually kind of good.
Don't let it go to your head.
Please ease up on your gushing praise.
Hey, you shut up because you're about to get some more, okay?
Ooh.
Now, I just wanted to. Look, I know that he's capable of it. I live with the guy. We play off each other a lot, and I know what he's capable of. So I guess it's really no surprise. But I just wanted to commend you for being so on point. Like nobody was safe. Like someone said that like the Kala was coming out of you.
Oh yeah.
So I watched and I was really impressed. I mean, Carpe Diem, man, you really seized the fucking moment.
I don't think that's what was said. I think what was said was that people can't tell the difference between you and Juxta. I think that's what they were saying.
No,
so that's a good thing because Kala is obviously so great at being himself. So if I'm acting like Kala, that means I'm great as well.
Yeah. We're both awesome is what we're trying to say.
Yeah, okay, so...
And you did really good. Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right,
okay.
Cool.
Come here, I want to touch your dick. We're dick ninjas.
We are dick ninjas. By the time that comes out, we're hoping he can have the fat chocobo head. He's going to dress up like a giant chocobo. I'm going to be a giant mog, and we're going to be Choco Mog the Dick Ninjas.
Oh, God.
Oh, God.
That was, Nika and I had the absolute...
I actually also facepalmed at the same
Giant
time.
Mog and Choco running around stealing hate from the tank and putting it on the healer. All right. They can't kick both of us.
Hell yeah.
So, by the way, we do want to send a shout out to Mr. Happy and all of the Dream Network and Sly for putting up with all of our insane antics over on State of the Realm. Oh my God, that was so much fun.
You're welcome.
I can't tell you how much fun. That was so much fun. Thank you guys so much. Make sure you go check out the episode and subscribe to their channel. It's over on Mr. Happy's YouTube channel. Check that out.
If you don't invite us back, we'll understand.
Yeah, we totally get it.
I was planning on never being invited back ever again. I went full force.
I want to be on an episode now. After seeing it,
it's never going to happen.
Good luck.
I'm just, it's never,
Mr. Happy and Sly, me by myself, like this is a thing that happens when you put all of us together. Me by myself, though, come on.
No.
Come on.
No. Who would care?
Come on.
Who would care?
Come on.
No one.
It's terrible.
No one in this room would care. I don't think anyone would tune in.
Yeah, the people would leave.
I bet they would.
But seriously, shout out to State of the Realm, and thank you guys for having us on. That was so much fun. And I do want to talk a little bit about some of the reactions to that show, but we'll leave that for the end.
All positive, I'm certain.
Oh,
actually, there was plenty of positive.
Glowing.
I sound like a Muppet, apparently.
Don't you?
I don't doubt. I do not deny that. I do deny the claim that I sound like Kermit. I don't sound like Kermit. I do sound like a Muppet.
Can you sing Rainbow Connection for us?
No.
That would be a really easy way to tell.
Do.
I like that they think that Aniero has a fedora collection.
So wait, which Muppet do you think you are?
I don't actually have really seen the Muppets, so
Fozzie.
Fozzie?
Oh yeah,
Gonzo.
I could
that's
probably see
hard.
that.
How about Fonzo? Because the two of them fusion together.
Because his jokes always suck, and because Gonzo's Gonzo. Yeah.
Because his nose looks like a penis.
Yes, there you go. There we go. Bump it. There
No.
you go.
Dick Ninja.
You bumped it. Sorry, you can't take that back. So we touched on a really interesting topic the last episode that I think all of us kind of really wanted to spend a little bit more time digging into, but we unfortunately we were at like 2 hours at that point, and we couldn't go for another hour. What is this? What is this, State of the Realm? I mean, come on.
Right, come on, man. 3 hours.
Who does that shit?
Yeah,
What a bunch of dickheads.
get your shows under control.
Yeah, come on.
Focus.
But no, we touched on the topic of job homogenization and
Aniero, what's that?
well, it's the jobs becoming too similar as they become developed over time. Final Fantasy XIV, I think some of the jobs play pretty similarly.
Oh yeah, well I mean at a certain point, like if you get general enough, they are the same. Like tank is a tank, a healer is a healer, a DPS is a DPS. They have the exact same role.
And it seems like with Heavensward, some classes are getting some traits that will define their roles a little bit more clearly. Like I think Ninja getting hate plant tools is
Definitely.
Makes me feel like a thief from 11.
Exactly, right. But in other games, and especially this game's predecessor, Final Fantasy XI, of which all of us are from, and I'm not speaking for you, the audience. I'm just speaking for everyone in this room. Some of us have context with other games, such as Ultima Online, Asheron's Call, World of Warcraft. I'm trying to think of other.
Eve. It's an MMO.
No. Did you play it?
No.
I went through
Did
character
anyone?
creation.
Did you play it?
Oh, you okay? All right.
I'm right.
Eskalia played it, and Eskalia technically counts because he's in the room.
Yep. Ever's gonna Eve.
No.
But all of us have context with other games. Some of us more so than other titles. But I think I think that there is a concern among some people in the FF14 community that that jobs as they're being developed are becoming more similar.
To be fair, though, it is a necessary evil depending on the direction that you're taking your game. Okay. To a certain extent, you are going to end up getting that just when it comes to things such as balance. You know, for example, homogenization in Final Fantasy XI, I don't think that existed. Okay. Now there were certain classes that were already very similar. Two-handed DPS, for example.
Yes,
okay?
all the same.
All two-handed DPS
pretty much. Okay,
were pretty similar.
Exactly the same.
Right. But when you take a look at a bunch of other classes, let's look at Ninja compared to Thief, compared to Bard. All of those fit a very specific role, and it was cool that those roles were so different because then it gives people the option to have, do all this different stuff. But the pitfall that you end up finding with that is what if that role doesn't fit into an event and that's the only job you have, you don't get to do that event. Now granted, in a game like Final Fantasy XI or even Final Fantasy XIV where you can switch jobs, that's not necessarily a huge concern unless you're someone like Aniero who refuses to play anything except just that one.
Which was a really big issue for Aniero because you didn't bring Dark Knights to anything because they were terrible.
but to be fair, in his defense, okay, he made that shit shake and he drank it. So I'm gonna give you that, okay.
I rode that thing all the way to the end, as in I'm still logging in. So and it's still
he's still not getting invited to events.
And it's still really the only job I'm playing. No, I did. God, what is the fucking event? Oh no. Oh no.
Delve?
No.
Skirmish?
No, not skirmish. God damn it. Not vagary.
Trust?
God damn it. Incursion. That's the one.
Incursion, that's a thing now?
It's a thing.
Is like aliens coming in?
No.
They're going to incur the land?
No. It's much more boring.
You use that.
Don't worry about it.
He fights butterflies.
No, it wasn't butterflies. It was it's things.
Right.
Anyway, just move on.
Right, moving on though. So in a game,
We're not here to talk about my Stockholm syndrome,
right.
okay?
So in a game like Final Fantasy XI, where we didn't see jobs, becoming homogenized over time, it was kind of okay because it worked in that kind of world. Another good example: Beastmasters and Puppet Masters. Okay, the two themselves were very similar, but they had no place in a lot of events, but they were able to do their own things, which was soloing stuff.
I think what 11 had going for it in that sense, though, is they didn't have the system that 14 has, where it's like these jobs are a tank, they have the blue icon. These are a DPS, they have the red icon. And in 11, there was a lot of experimenting with what jobs can do, more so than I think 14 allowed.
You're absolutely right. Everything in 14 has to fit into the tank healer DPS paradigm. But I think the thing that bugs me a little bit about 14's structure is that when you have a physical DPS, there's no physical DPS that relies on something like MP. You don't have much of much of wiggle room or like it seems like you've got two binary choices. There's like magic DPS or physical DPS, and if you're doing magical DPS, there's you're doing you're casting spells or you're doing some dots, and there are some dots that you've got like one or two dots that you can place as a physical DPS, but it's just all it is
they
just
tease that hybrid jobs in the future though, so I mean that could be something that happens eventually.
Well, another thing about that though is in 11 you were okay with having some jobs that weren't good for some events because there were other events you could get endgame stuff out of.
That's true.
In 14, if a job can't do coil,
but to be fair, is there a job that can't do coil?
No, but that's not true. I mean, as much as it's really bad for Summoner in the way that Summoner's DPS is played, I've met plenty of people even at FanFest and at other things that clear 13 and other coil as a summoner. I've met people at a convention recently, I think KatsuCon, who would clear T13 as summoner, and they were telling me how difficult it was, but they still were able to do it. I think there isn't a job that cannot do coil. There are just ones that
I'm trying to get is with the homogenization, they need a little bit more of that in 14 because if they do create a job that can't do the current endgame or isn't good for it, that's bad in 14. There isn't an alternative thing for them to go do.
But with the direction that they're taking with Final Fantasy 14, that's not something that's going to happen. And Aniero, you touched on the point that I mentioned when we started this discussion, that because of this paradigm, the holy trinity of tank, healer, and DPS,
right,
to a certain extent, all jobs are already the same. That's melee and magical DPS. So at this point, where the difference comes into it is how they actually play. Because yes, you're right. Every single one of those DPS, their job is to do damage.
Right.
It doesn't even matter if they all have the same kind of abilities. If everybody has a slashing debuff, if everybody has a goad, if everybody has a way to give back TP, it doesn't matter. That's not where the homogenization comes in at. Where it comes in at is how you play the job. Whether you're a ninja, a monk, or a dragoon, the way that you're playing them and operating them, that is what should feel different.
Yeah, I mean,
it kind of.
I guess, but I also like the idea of certain roles having specialized abilities like the hate plant.
Absolutely, you're right.
Because at some point, like let's say that the hate plant becomes really critical, and then the community comes back and says, "Well, why doesn't every other DPS get a hate plant?"
And that's where
that's the problem. That's the thing that I don't like is that because that's generally the response is that, oh, this is a really cool thing that only one job can do. Well, every physical DPS should be able to do it, and I don't like. There's part of me likes the direction that they're taking with some of the newer jobs, but there is this concern because of WoW, because WoW is kind of infamous for taking a lot of their classes and mushing them together and just making them very samey and not like.
In my experience, though, the problem that happens with isn't so much with utility spells, but with spells that affect damage, because the whole numbers game is about how much DPS can I do. Perfect example in World of Warcraft was, for the longest time, Shamans had Bloodlust, which grants 30% haste to everybody. You did not go to a raid without a single Shaman. Doesn't matter how sucky the Shamans were overall, you needed Bloodlust.
Right.
So now people feel like we have to take a Shaman. How did they solve it? Give a few other classes Bloodlust. Okay?
Right.
So I think you should be able to find a balance, though, where it's an ability where it's not critical to complete the raid, but it's nice if you have it. And I feel like that way you won't feel like you have to have it, which I think they've done well so far in having things like the Bard can buff the Black Mage, and then the Dragoon can buff, like having the extra little piercing damage or casting damage buffs, that way you don't need it, but if you have it, it's awesome.
Agreed. All credit where credit is due. Square Enix so far throughout all of 2.0 has been very good about keeping all of the classes balanced. And just because we're talking about this subject does not mean that we're criticizing or think that the way that it's been done has been bad. But, when you look at the development of other games and you look at Square Enix's history with MMOs, I think it's a valid thing to talk about in a way, in a pretty critical way towards how we're going to be moving in the future. And I think the thing that I don't want is what, Kallo, you just described with WoW, where it becomes like, oh, this is so critical that everyone needs to have it. There's nothing that should be that overpowered.
Absolutely.
But Nika, you're also right that the way that raids are structured, they're structured around this trinity, the paradigm that I was talking about, the tank, healer, DPS trinity. And I don't know, here's the thing about those what you call it, the flex jobs or the hybrid jobs.
Yeah. Hybrid is the word they teased.
Yeah, all I see it is like somewhere in the middle of the of the two, like a DPS that can have a little bit more healing ability or buffing ability, or something like that, as opposed to a straight class that's just buffing, debuffing, and and enfeebling. Like that was an entire role in FF11 that is literally just been kind of erased from MMOs. So if that was the thing that you really liked to do when you played an MMO, that's just gone. Like that's not even really an option, and there's nothing that gets close. All of those kind of enfeebling abilities are getting distributed throughout additional abilities that jobs are getting.
Well, and Kallo, you also mentioned if you can't have the specific things that the jobs can do to be their kind of defining thing, how do you make them play differently? Mm-hmm. Remember, like a long time ago with like Monk and Dragoon, it was a lot of their things came down to being able to position yourself properly, and it was a fucking nightmare. It was just like, what do you think would be the better way to go around? Because obviously positioning is a very difficult one to do in a game where positioning is you have to position yourself to survive getting hit.
Well, all right, I have limited knowledge of Dragoon. I've obviously played Monk to 50, and I play Ninja quite a bit. So, first of all, I'd like to say that right now, I don't think that there is a problem with FF14's job homogenization. Mm-hmm. And even with the changes that they've announced thus far, I think a lot of it sort of shows that things are being defined differently, but there's also a few things that look like it could be going in the sort of too far range, right? So, for example, I think that Ninja, because of their mudras, was different from all the other ones that there were. Sure. Like the mudras was just a really cool and unique thing to add to ninjas, okay? And I guess the way that I assumed between Monk and Dragoon was, especially when they eased the Dragoon's positionals, right?
Yeah, the heavy lance or whatever, yeah.
The skill and the play style of Dragoon was all about chaining. Like, I remember you commenting or posting a picture somewhere one time of like how a perfect rotation for Dragoon was like 26 moves. Yep. That's where the challenge of Dragoon is. Yep. The challenge is to be able to chain all those together.
Right. The issue became that endgame events would no longer allow you to be able to do 26 straight moves.
Right. And so that is obviously a problem that they fixed. Yes. But I think that idea of having to try and adapt to chaining all these things together while also being able to do the the mechanics is where you need to find that balance. So maybe instead of reducing the chaining or whatever, what they should have done is they should have eased the requirements of the chaining. That way you could respond to what's going on in the raid, but also still be able to continue your chain, because that sounds... Now, it's not going to be everybody's, bag of marbles, but it sounds like that could be a really cool concept for a job. Now, conversely, with Monk, the whole thing with Monk, obviously you have to chain things together, you have to keep your stacks up.
Sure. But
they have a lot more positionals. So for them, the whole skill in it is trying to dance around and make sure that you can keep up your buffs while staying in the right positions. Now, as a ninja, being in certain positions isn't required by any means, but because we're able to DPS and jump around, I'm sure Juxta can probably, agree with me here. But it's fun to jump in and out of AoEs as that AoE is not gonna hit me, but I'm gonna move over there and now I get to jump out of the way. And it seems really cool. Oh, perfect example. The Midgar Swarmer dungeon.
Yeah.
Keeper. The Keeper of the Lake, the second boss with the airship or that thing.
Yeah.
I fucking love that thing. Never have I gotten so much use out of Shikuki, the Bamf move.
Yeah.
You can actually use it to move around, and that really made me feel like a ninja, right? So all of these things, ninja compared to monk, compared to dragoon, in all three of these examples, those are things that they have that is unique. And now Square Enix is let's give some positionals to ninja. Makes me think are you trying to make me more like monk at this point?
Well, see, I think I don't know. See, I feel like when I play and this is, I don't know, my DPS knowledge is fairly limited, and we'll get to tanks here in a minute because tanks are my real concern. But I feel like all the DPS, at least the physical DPS, play very differently. They have very different rotations. They all feel very different. But the thing is that they don't operate that much different in a party. You don't really have a reason to say, hey, let's take a dragoon over a monk.
This is true, but if you ever get to that point in a game, that's at the point where people start saying, Eskalia's oh, hey, I want to come to your coil. Sorry, we're not taking any dragoons.
Yeah.
And I think that's a bad point to be in an MMO where that starts to happen.
True. PTSD.
And there are some, most people won't do T13 without a monk simply because of Dragon Kick.
Without one job is one thing, but to say no to something completely, I think that's
no
something
Rangers
entirely. Yeah.
Well, but then it's contingent on Square Enix to balance that and
exactly
and keep that. So, but again. They've done very well at this.
Oh, they have.
I have some concerns moving forward, especially about tanks.
Well, and let's talk about the tanks because
hold on. Before we get into tanks, we have a caller on the line. He's been patiently waiting.
Well, say something. That's your job.
Yeah,
just
come on.
It was a good discussion. I don't want to
raise your hand.
No, you raise your hand.
It is raised, but
Ryuichi, what do you have to add to the discussion?
Hey, Ryuichi, how's it going, man?
Not bad. A little tired. It's rather late over here, but good.
Well, we're
glad. It's been a long time.
Yeah. It's been a while since you've been able to join us here.
Yeah, you don't
on,
call me.
LBR,
You don't write. Don't you love us anymore?
All right. To be fair, I'll back Ryuichi. He's been asking to come on for the last 2 or 3 episodes,
and you've just been rejecting him.
Yes.
No, it's because he's changed into a Lalafell. We can't accept that. I'm sorry.
We can't see you. That's why we couldn't see you raising
the table
your hand.
somewhere.
Actually, whenever you would call me, I'd be either passed out because it's so fucking late.
Yeah, it was gonna be like the last caller each time, and he's like, "Hey, you there?" Oh, I guess he's dead.
Yeah. Well, here in a month, that won't be an issue because I'll be moving back to the States.
Hey, all right, that's awesome. I'm glad to hear that, man. Glad to hear it.
Yes, I'll be back in Arizona.
Awesome, man. So, what do you want to talk about today?
Well, kind of want to touch up a little bit on your topic. I saw you heard that you were talking about throwing back to 11 a little bit.
Yeah,
we do that
job,
right.
And the thing that Blue Mage could do, apart from everyone else, is just like any other DPS, they do their thing, do damage, but they also had tools that kind of separated from everyone else. They can buff themselves, they can heal the party, they can stone skin everybody, they can even they can make their self buff AoE every few minutes.
Right.
This is true. When you talk about especially in 11, hybrid jobs or jack of all trades, all right, red mage.
No.
Blue mages were really
was fantastic.
That's
job.
right.
Blue mage was where it was at.
Blue mage could literally
really.
do anything.
Yeah.
All right,
but
Blue
you had
Mage.
respect for it. It was actually really good. It was a really balanced job, and I like them.
All right, Blue Mage, we're going to raise you over and over again. We're going to need you to go ahead and donate about 50,000 XP to this run.
I mean, we would have parties of just blue mages for most of our endgame raids by the end of it. I mean, it was
And there's
ridiculous.
just one thing that that this game doesn't have that 11 had. You had that one weapon or set piece of equipment that was just game changing.
Oh yeah. Glory gear. I mean, like gear that was high challenge or low drop rate, just rare. It just was rare to come across in the world. And I'm not talking like a fucking bomb earring or a cactar
Yeah, in
earring.
this game it's all glamour stuff. It's like, oh, they have this really pretty level 1 bathing suit.
Yeah. And
they have the Araman choker. That's so cool.
Yeah, like I want the body pieces or the armor or the weapons,
riddle.
like seriously. Yeah, riddle, like that was a big deal to have.
It's the way that they organize the eye level system in this game. They don't account for that.
Like, what the fuck?
But what it ends up coming down to is when you have glory gear like that, which I've never heard before, but it comes down to balance. You don't have to worry about like major balancing issues when you don't have stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, and because of the way they do the increasing eye level system, I feel like after a while you'd either have to upgrade that piece, which it would eventually get really tedious, or it would be outclassed. So,
which is fine, because then you could just have other glory gear that would outclass it eventually. So, and then at that point, it's like trophy
but I mean,
gear.
when I think about 11, like even coming in as a first timer to the end game and just seeing people who had just started, the new dynamics that had just come out, and seeing them with that gear was like so awesome. And then it was like for the longest time, if you had a riddle, a relic, or like a Hob +1 even, it was like the most, like in Scorpion Harness, remember when that was like 12 million?
Oh, yeah.
Like if someone who had that, it was like, how the hell?
It took a lot of time and gil. But once you had it, you're like, I feel fucking awesome. And like I was trying to say with Blue Mage,
it was awesome for years. They didn't get outclassed next month.
Yeah, that's
Owl Mace, the Imperial weapon. I got my Owl Mace and it just changed everything. Like, the weapon skill. Sean Duchin, it's French. I can't fucking pronounce it. CDC. I'll call it CDC for short. And you no longer had to rely on your spells for damage because CDC, when you have your weapon skill gear. Holy shit!
It's actually
damage.
It's weird that you actually say it that way. You don't have to rely on your spells as much. Daggeron Solaris says in the chat that Yoshida actually says that one of the reasons he doesn't want gear like that is because then it comes to a point where you're not allowed into certain raids unless you have that item.
And that's actually a good thing. It's actually I'm actually kind of as much as I missed that part about 11. I'm actually pretty glad it's not, introduced. It's not in here because it just kind of puts I want to say unfair advantage, but like they were more like well, I guess you could say kind of like unfair. I don't know how to put it. It's just
the way this game runs it is that they do allow for more accessible gear. Whether or not it's best in slot doesn't necessarily matter. You have the Tombstone, you have the Crystal Tower, you have the Coil, you have all of that, which makes it more accessible. Whereas in 11, it was like, you don't even have a Swift Belt, you have to go camp this fucking thing that you're not allowed until you get that.
The other side of that coin, and I understand that, like, that's sound logic, and I totally get it, and Yoshida's right. But the other side of that coin is that things don't feel as much like an accomplishment for as long. Now
gear is just an item level, and that's like, okay, good. I'm
not just that, but I mean, like the people who have Zeta weapons, they feel special for like a week until everyone else has their Zeta weapon.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, and
there's no true accomplishment.
Yeah, and also because that gear is going to be out of date as of the next patch or the next. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's the frustrating part. There felt like a long-term investment and reward, out of 11.
Well, and it comes down to the model of game that they've chosen. In 14's model, Glory Gear really doesn't work. It's very, one level, then to the next level, then to the next level. Whereas, we always talk about 11 had the more horizontal approach to the game. In that approach, you can have Glory Gear. In this one, I don't think it works.
And Tenor Martin in the chat had a good point, too, is that in 14, you only have to optimize one set, whereas in 11, every weapon skill you had a different set. So then there were pieces that were optimal for, like, Tachikasha, and that were optimal for, depending on which weapon skill you were using.
Get out of here with that samurai
So there was a reason, Samurai's the best. There was a reason why you would hang on to that gear that was level 50, because it had one more strength, or maybe this weapon skill was based on intelligence, and it was one of the only pieces Samurai could, or whatever, could use with intelligence, and it mattered.
Yeah.
Whereas this game, it there's none of that.
And there's a part of me that misses that though. And I'm not saying that to be like, oh well, we need that in 14. There's just a part of me that misses that.
No,
that was a well-designed system.
I agree, but what that also does too, when you get to a point, like for example, if you had a riddle or a cracking club for certain job, that's it. It's over.
Yeah.
Skill no longer played a part in that.
That's true. You became a lawnmower.
Because of the way that 14's designed now and the direction they take it with, skill, I think, plays a much larger role in this game, which I will take over the whole glory gear kind of system any day.
I just picture like Aniero with this Kraken club swinging it wildly as other people herd monsters into it.
God, K-Club.
It's like,
I remember that shit too.
Kraken like, Eater Dark Knight.
Another weapon that Blue Mage couldn't quit. That was bullshit.
I don't think we need to talk about the trials of Blue Mage and how underpowered they were. Blue Mage was just fine on its own.
No, I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I didn't need the Kraken Club. I didn't need the riddle. I had all,
But you wanted it.
Days, like, why do I need that? There's no need for it.
Yeah, but they should be able to equip it. You're right.
Okay,
yeah, another thing I also want to touch on, real quick. You're talking about, job homogenization. I can't fucking talk.
Homogenization.
Yeah, thanks.
Milk.
Excuse me. Oh shit. But how they're getting around the same. But when I'm looking through like the tank notes, right? And it seems more different. They have more abilities that set themselves apart. Paladin has that ability, Divine Veil. You put him, he activates it. One dude cures him. It spreads around the surroundings and puts a barrier on them. Pretty nice utility. Warriors can, they can self-heal once again. Well, all of them can self-heal, but they had that was it raw intuition where anything that comes from the front, is an automatic parry. Of course, if you get hit from the sides or the back, well, that's a crit on your ass, and you might be fucked if you get hit pretty hard. And they have darks.
Oh, it's pleasant.
Don't die.
Yeah, you all right there? Oh, good. This is cool. This is awesome to have on a show.
Oh, excuse me. I apologize about that. That was very unprofessional on my part. What was that they had?
Well, and
it's always
but
been where, like, paladins have
homogenization.
been more tanky, and warriors have more been like about healing themselves. And so, like, I mean, when we're not talking about the exact same job. Obviously, they play a little differently.
Right? Yeah. And no one's saying that they're becoming clones of one another.
Right.
Either.
And plus, the other thing about homogenization doesn't just come down to the fact that nobody has unique abilities, because obviously everybody has very unique abilities, but it comes down to the way that they play.
Right.
So, for example, one of Juxta's biggest concerns is when you look at black mages, they stay stationary and do their casting. Bards are the complete opposite. They run around, and now they're getting this ability that says, hey, you want to do more damage? Stand still.
Right.
Obviously, they still have a slew of abilities that are completely different from Black Mage because they don't have to cast anything, but it still starts to make their playstyles similar.
But being a rooted DPS, a rooted range DPS, at that point, it has taken a degree of freedom or a degree of uniqueness away from Bard.
And I'm nervous about that because, I mean, even a Bard at the top of their playstyle right now will not top DPS in any endgame raid. And what made them keep up, basically, in DPS is that they could DPS while moving and kind of anywhere without any positions. And so doing this, I'm just a little bit nervous about its future in endgame. But
so they probably put it in there thinking this will help push them over the top in raid situations.
Maybe, but the thing is there's so much dodging in raids.
But they can still DPS while they move, right? This hasn't hurt their ability to DPS while moving, so that shouldn't hurt them any.
Well, no,
but then you're not doing ideal DPS, and that's the point.
That's all that matters for DPS is how much damage you put out. Because
No, but what I mean, though, is if the concern is that they're going to have to move at some point and not be able to do that stand, plant, and DPS, well, if they have to move and they can still deal good damage while moving, you should do that.
It's going to be situational based on the raid. There'll be some raids where you can do more because you can stand still longer than others, and I think that's just a balance we'll have to figure out as players.
Thanks for the call, Ryuichi. We really appreciate it. And
don't die.
Good to hear from you again. Yeah, don't die.
Get that lung checked out.
Yeah.
So why don't we talk about the tanks then? Because out of all the updates that I saw when it comes to jobs, the tanks I feel are the ones that have gotten more notes about being made more alike. And they actually said, we're trying to make Warrior and Paladin a little bit more in line with how Dark operates, but they haven't really given them much that's going to differentiate them besides what they already have.
Well, I think now that all tanks will have, an element of stance dancing and an element
is it's a cool concept.
It is a cool concept, and also an element of of DPS. So having an option for pumping out DPS when you're off tanking, all three tanks are getting those.
Or when you're in Crystal Tower.
I think that's good because when we've had two tanks, it's pretty much just been in any end game situation: Paladin, main tank, Warrior, off tank.
Right.
It's been like that. Now that there's three tanks, they're trying to find a balance that says you can take any combination of these three and have a good main tank and a good off tank, and it doesn't matter which one you choose.
Right.
And I think in that sense, it's fine. And even though now Defiance and Shield Oath add the same kind of buffs and Paladin's getting a dot finisher and stuff, that's fine. I think as long as they still play differently enough that they don't feel like the same job, I'm totally cool with that.
See, now here's the thing though, is that and everyone is going to be shocked by what I'm about to say, but what I think is that they had mentioned that when they were going to add Samurai, that they were going to add it as a tank, and it would have been an evasion and parry based or parry heavy tank. And I actually think that would have been a much more interesting route to go.
I agree with you, but I know that's kind of
you're biased. You're biased. That's your bias. That's your bias talking, Nika, and that's okay.
I've always thought that parry was an interesting stat that they did nothing with.
No, and I agree. And now okay, automatically the automatic parry from the front that Warriors are getting. Okay, cool.
But that doesn't depend on the stat. It's just
it doesn't depend on the stat, but I think how much damage you mitigate does.
Depends on strength.
That depends on strength.
Oh, that depends on strength. Okay,
yeah.
So you're still not required
so parry
to
still does dick for that. Okay,
yeah.
Great. But okay, so that's a valid point that parry is a hugely underutilized stat in general. But when again making the comparison back to FF11. You had two distinct, very, very distinct style of tanking.
Ninja wasn't intended to be a tank. Again, that's where we're saying the players kind of experimented and discovered that on their own.
That's true.
I think they're trying to keep away from 11 on this one, though, because 11, you talk about jobs that went unused. It was always either Ninja was great or Paladin was great. They were never both usable.
And in the end,
No, wait. No, that's not true. It was always Ninjas were great or Paladin with Aegis or O-Chain. That's it.
Sure.
I mean, those were your options, because if you didn't have one of those, you were a worthless Paladin.
And in the end, they just gave,
Paladin that got shoved away.
And in the end, the Paladins just ended up subbing Ninja anyway, and you got a little bit of the best of both worlds.
At one point.
I feel like a lot of times we ended up Paladin subbing Red Mage, which was interesting too. That was a big thing. I don't know.
But regardless, I think that right now, what they should be doing instead of trying, I'm sure they have a great idea for what Dark is and what's going to come out, and it probably will play a little bit different. But
it probably will. Yeah, this is again
magic tanking is definitely different.
They've been giving a lot of the old tanks abilities that are kind of clones of what like the other ones have. So it literally looks like they are making them the same. And Nika, how do you play a Paladin? Like literally tell me about your rotation.
Paladin rotation is pretty much 1, 2, 3.
All right.
It really is.
Warrior rotation.
No. To be fair,
they're changing it. There are other things. You have to pay a lot more attention to your defensive cooldown.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. Yeah, your cooldown. It's less about your enmity combo because that's pretty automatic. Like
Paladin has a lot of moves off global cooldown that does extra damage. You have to use at the right time and that kind of stuff.
Yes,
and they are adding a dot finisher, which will change up Paladin a little bit. So I'm not too worried about that. I've never found Paladin boring because of that. I find that because I can keep my enmity going, I can focus more on learning the mechanics because I know that until I make a mistake and fuck up, I don't learn not to do it. So
it's not so much about if you get bored or not, because I've played Paladin now to level like 20 maybe, and essentially what I've seen, and granted I know it's only 20 levels, right? But it's like you run in, you do your combos to build up enmity, and then you try not to die, which is through defensive cooldowns. How different from that is warrior?
It's a bit different.
It is a bit different, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, warrior has stacks that once you reach the stack, you can use multiple different types of moves. Some
Okay, and
enemies,
that's
some are
cool.
damage, some are.
We obviously
you have
all-
abilities that will ignore Defiance's damage down thing, which I think would be something.
Okay, no, yeah,
Paladin.
yeah.
Yeah, well, and
It's
you've
unique
got
to warrior.
You've got Inner Beast, which will, if you can pump out high damage, you can take a nice heal from that as well.
All right, yeah, see,
That's
that's
it's
all
a good
really
way
cool.
to it's a good way to mitigate about
Yeah, I mean, warriors' cooldowns are different than paladins.
Right.
Paladins are almost purely defensive, whereas warriors are like, I'm going to take this damage, and in the meantime, it will heal me, or like every damage I take does damage back to the.
Okay,
enemy,
yeah, that's great then. I think what they should have done then is focus Paladin more on its buff or its defensive stuff, right? And with Warrior, give them more of that. And what it actually reminds me of, in the point that I wanted to try and get to, obviously we all know what your traditional tank is, which is the Paladin. You know, just cooldowns out the wazoo.
Right.
Blink tanking is pretty self-explanatory too. It's all about evasion and parrying, which you're right. If they would have brought in like Samurai as that kind of tank, that would have been fantastic. It would have been something completely new and different. The other tank that I'm most familiar with from World of Warcraft is a Death Knight in Bloodspec, which they take a lot of damage, but it's all about building your HP back up through the moves that you use or extending your max HP. And near the end of it, they got a buff called Blood Shield, which whenever you did damage, it essentially gave you a barrier that had to be smashed through first. And that's what Warrior kind of reminds me of with its whole self-healing things. So instead of going into Heavensward trying to be like, all right, this is cool stuff that we're giving the Death Knight, let's give a little bit of that to the other tanks now. I think that they should have tried to take what they already have, the concepts that they already have in place, and build on those more.
Right. Well, for example, I expected Paladin to get a bit more in the way of straight damage mitigation because that's what they were already really good at.
Yeah,
and instead, you guys get you get a dot. You guys get a dot, and you in a DPS combo. Cool. It just seemed like they took Paladin from the direction that it was in, which was straight damage mitigation, and turned it and was like, oh, but you should have a damage
that's because
element
they're
too.
introducing a third tank, and they want to make all three tanks viable in any position, rather than saying because Paladin has all this defense, it has to be maintained.
Quick question
it's totally valid.
You said that they want to make every tank viable. Or do you mean they don't want, like, for example, they gave this to Paladin because the other two have it? So is it about making all tanks viable? Or be like, oh, you know what? Paladin doesn't have this ability. What if they decide they don't want to use Paladins because of it? Now we have to give them this ability because that there is one of the pitfalls of the Job Homogenization.
I just feel like that as it is right now, I don't think I've ever been in a party where it's like the warrior will main tank and the paladin will off tank. And I think that they really want, with this addition of a third tank, and same thing with the healer, I feel like that's why with the different stances for Astrologian, I think that it really allows any combination at all. I mean, like a warrior, Dark Knight, Paladin, Dark Knight, or a warrior and Paladin or whatever will always work, which I think is what they're also trying to do with healer since there's only 3.
I cast in the chat saying that warrior main tank, paladin off tank is the most efficient right now. I've heard that as well. That's an efficient route of going. I don't know. Don't ask me. I have no idea.
I believe
I've
it's
heard
because
some people testing and saying that with a paladin and sword oath over time does like increasingly more DPS than a warrior.
Thank you.
I don't know. There's something about that. I haven't done the testing myself, but
from what I've read and what I understand, it's that sword oath paladins do more damage as off tanks than warriors do, and so that's why warriors are better main tanks.
Literally what you just said?
I don't know. I wasn't paying attention.
How though?
That is
because warriors have so many abilities that help them focus to do.
It's because
more
sword
damage.
oath is so overpowered. You're basically getting a second auto attack.
Yeah, okay. Shad Raven pointed it out in the way I was trying to explain it, is that warrior does more DPS while it's tanking than a paladin does. So you can have a warrior.
That makes a lot of sense.
So then the warrior off tank definitely does more than a paladin off tank. However, paladin main tanking does literally no damage, whereas warrior tanking plus the paladin off tanking will do more together.
Because doing
Thank you, Shad Raven. That makes sense. That makes total sense.
Thank you.
That makes total sense. Thank you. So yeah, I have concerns. Really, they're only it's only from kind of like an abstract place. I'm not really concerned. I'm not. I mean,
no, yeah, I get that.
Again,
Until we actually see what happens, it's hard to know.
And I also do have a fair bit of faith and trust in Square Enix. They've done very well with 14 so far. I think 3.0 is going to be a step in the right direction, but we'll see. You know, will jobs continue to get more samey as we go along? What do you think?
I think it depends how they go about it. I think if they end up focusing on how much damage something is doing and trying to balance around that, then I think that, I think we will end up seeing the bad side of job homogenization. But I think the way to start differentiating it is to start giving people more utilities. Things that don't necessarily affect how much damage you're doing, but survivability. And for those who say, well, you don't necessarily need that right now in raid situations, so start building it into raid situations. You know, give paladins, you know, a few utilities that don't just affect them, but affect the rest of the raid. That
sure.
You know, gives shields, or, you know, warriors can give some type of, I don't know, temporary HP or bloodlust stuff. I don't know, but just start giving more people utilities and start making us work those utilities into it to survive. Instead of having one-hit mechanics, it's like you either dodge this or you die. Give us ways to survive it with what we have, and that would be a hell of a lot more interesting.
And we also have a caller on the line. We have Danielle J. from Goblin.
Hey, what's up, Danielle? Hey, what's going on, man?
Not much. Just chilling, killing like a villain.
That's what's up. So what do you want to talk about today?
I mostly want to talk about, they said there was going to be a job in a new patch that's actually going to be similar to PUP. Like, y'all remember that from 11?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah,
we try not to, but yes, we remember.
Wow. PUP was my main, and I remember they used to bash on blue mages pretty hard.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
We did used to give blue mages a lot of shit.
Well,
but
they weren't very good until, like, Abyssia came out.
No, they were good before that. Do you not remember the time we were in Nizul and our tank went down and our beneficiary, like, basically soloed the rest of it for us as blue, and we're like, what?
Yeah, we just used entire parties of blue mages against Pandemonium Warded. Like, that was...
When was Pandemonium? I meant, like, right when Blue Mage came out. Like, people didn't know what to do with the job.
Yeah, well, you said until Abyssia. That Abyssia was later.
Yeah, that kind of covers a lot more than just the beginning.
Because Square Enix didn't explain dick about the jobs. People were back-tanking mobs that never gave fucking moves. I mean, like, it was remember that shit was kind of confusing until we were able to dig days later.
Aniero,
God.
We have a caller, okay?
Yes, Danya. Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to derail you. Yes, job similar to PUP.
Yes. I'm curious about that one, how that one will work, because PUP was actually my main in 11, and I was hoping that if it's like PUP, maybe I can get, like, I don't know, maybe something will feel familiar. Because I feel like in 14 it's somewhat like 11, but I kind of miss the grind a little bit.
Are you referring to Machinist or?
It must be Machinist with the different attachments for your gun and the turret that you can deploy.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of speculation about how exactly Machinist is going to play.
Right. If what you're hoping for is something that plays similar to Puppet Master, I don't know if you're never going to get that, because they were designed in a way to where they worked best on their own, and that kind of solo market, right now anyway, just it doesn't exist. Now, when we get into Heavensward and they basically unlock all this previous content that we can do with whoever we want, how many we want, at what level we want, that might be a little bit different, but in its current incarnation, I don't think you're going to get that particularly. Now, I never played PUP myself, so as far as how it operated, like, quote-unquote, rotation-wise, that I can't really see.
I feel like the Puppet Master was kind of how Summoner is now. Like, you use the one attachment or the one Eggy for the end-game fights, and that was pretty much it. Like, I think most Puppet Masters just use the caster Pup all the time. Like, I don't think there was really much of any... Like, they had all these options, but you'd never use them because there was one that was the best. Just like Garuda, you use all the time.
The Ranger Frame?
Ranger Frame was good too. Yeah, Ranger Frame.
Yeah.
I think the thing with Puppet Master was that they wanted to make all the damage come through the puppet, and really there isn't really an analog to that in 14, because all your damage for Summoner comes from the Summoner, and then your Garuda pet is just like kind of like a cooldown.
They're trying to make it an even more pure pet job than Beastmaster was, and there's just no real, like, the current meta of 14, I don't know how you would put a true pet job in.
You could do that. It's just a matter of whether or not be any good because of how shitty, your pets are in this game, how unresponsive they are.
Well, and I think that they can't go back to like your pet being the source of the most of the DPS, because then people will complain that it's not that fun to play, or that they don't have to, they don't have to pay attention, or things like that. I don't know. That would be Juxta's favorite job. I know that.
Not sure anyone was complaining about playing Pup or Beastmaster if they like those jobs. Like, if that was your thing.
Same reason Dragoon is some people's thing. I'm kidding.
And you know what? I think that's another reason where we probably won't see any kind of like true pet jobs, or the fact that Summoner is in such rough shape and they are the only pet job, and the fact that they haven't even given Dragoons their dumb wyverns yet, and they're still butthurt about that. I don't know.
So butthurt about it.
I don't know how forward Square Enix is going to be about introducing another pet job.
That's like primarily job is the pet.
Right.
Yeah, like machinist is going to be like your damage is the machinist, and your little thing that you deploy is either going to be like a trap, or it's going to be a buff, or it's going to be something like that.
It's a utility. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I don't think people who have drawn the parallels between Machinist and Pup are completely right. And if you're looking for something like Pup in FF14, I'm just not sure
you're
that
going to be
gonna
disappointed.
Yeah.
Aniero, thinking about this, you and I are extremely fortunate. You're getting your Dark, which is also a tank, which you love doing. So that's really cool for you. And the other day, I had a friend ask me, because he actually wanted Puppet Master to be put into 14.2, and he's like, when do you think we'll ever see it? And I'm like, honestly, I don't think we will.
No.
And he's like, well, what job would you like to see put in the future? And I'm like, I have my job.
Yeah, I got it.
Ninja. And he's like, well, don't you want Thief? And I'm like, look, what you have to understand is it is a Thief.
Yeah.
Okay, it looks like a ninja. It's called Ninja, but it literally has just about every single move from FF11.
Now that it's getting
the hate plan.
And it's getting the hate stuff, and it just operates so much better. I basically got like Thief +1, and I absolutely love it. So I don't need anything else.
Now my thing with Ninja, I feel like Thief has more like room to grow in terms of like abilities and aesthetics and stuff. Like you can steal stuff, you can do enmity stuff, but with Ninja it's
Treasure Hunter.
Yeah, Treasure Hunter and stuff. Like, but with Ninja, like you have all this cool stuff like running and jumping and the mudras and ninjutsu and stuff, but after that, like, where are you gonna go with like the AF? It's like, oh, you're gonna have another ninja looking set. I mean, I don't really feel like there's like a lot of room to grow.
So you're concerned about the future, the future of Ninja
re-glamour and moves, because right now they're like taking like a whole bunch of like Thief stuff, so it's like,
but I think they can still keep working in that direction, because the idea of a Thief and a Rogue and a Ninja are already so closely connected. I think that what they could start doing, and again, this is something that they could use to help get away from the homogenization, is start trying to work on a stealth game. Make our rotation more based around like, going like into hide, or like a bomb thing, going in and out of that, and juggling. The stance could actually be a type of combat stealth. You want to give me positionals with a combat stealth, where I have to go into stealth to get behind it and hit it a certain way, or in front of it? I will take positionals then.
Isn't that already kind of like Suiton though?
But that's just casting it on them, like an actual like stance dancing, where you go in and out of it, and there could be other benefits to it as well. But I think that kind of idea would be really cool. Play with it, Square Enix. Just play around with it a little bit. Put it into testing, maybe.
Play with me, Square Enix.
Just juggle the balls.
Changing one move.
What's that?
I said ninjas have different poisons where you can swap them to change the utility of a move.
No, stop.
Nika, stop. Don't even.
It's a thing.
Nika, stop.
I think he wants you to stop.
Just saying, it's a thing.
Okay, so I'm going to deviate a little bit from the outline, but to go along with like the tank's homogenization, I feel like healers are getting less homogenized with the addition of Astrologian.
Oh, absolutely.
I think you're right.
I think healers are probably in the best position right now when it comes to
the juxtaposition.
Sure, they're in the juxtaposition. No,
well, but
that's stupid.
They are taking what White Mage already does well, and they're making it do it better.
Yep.
And
plain and simple,
and they're giving more utilities to Scholar that are unique to Scholar. So and then there's Astrologian, which, I mean,
It's a little of column A and a little of column B. I would even go so far as to call them they're a hybrid healer, not in the true sense of or the usual sense of hybrid, where you can do multiple roles.
Well, they're a bit of a wild card because we don't. I mean, that's going to be the job where I think we have to get hands on, really see how it functions to be able to determine how it plays or what your rotation's going to be.
I've said
a lot of people. Well, I'm just saying, a lot of people have been coming out with the ideal Dark Knight rotation based on the information that we have, and that's cool and all. It's just, like, I don't think you can. I'm not sure that you can do that with Astrologian. I think that
is that something you can do with healers at all? Like, that's something I never understood with healers is how healers have rotations.
No, it's all
Healers
reactionary.
respond to situations.
Right.
It's all reactionary. And the thing with Astrologians, like I said it before, they're either going to be so good because of the ability to switch what stance you want to be in, what sect you're in, and if you want shields or regen, and then you're also going to have the buffs that you give to party members. And that's either going to be so good that you're going to want one in every single party, or it's going to be so nerfed and so not good that you're not going to want any of them because they're so weak.
Now, you see, there we go. I think that's the thing to look forward to as far as the homogenization goes for healers, is that if Astrologian ends up being so good that you always have to have at least one of those. You can't be like, oh, well, we can just have whatever you want. They're always going to be like, no, we have to have at least one Astrologian. Then what you're going to see is either nerfs to it, which I know everyone hates nerfs, but that might be the safer way to go, because the other way to go is to start giving what the Astrologians have to the other the other two healers to compensate for that.
You're absolutely right, and I think I'm not a fan of that style of development.
I have a feeling that it's not going to go that way. I mean, just looking at the way White Mage and Scholar work right now and the way they play off of each other, I can't see a situation where you couldn't take a White Mage and an Astrologian, a Scholar and an Astrologian, or keeping a White Mage and a Scholar and not being able to do well. I just don't see that happening.
No, absolutely. I don't think it's going to make the other two bad at any point. But, for example, let's say that you have a White Mage, okay? And normally you bring a White Mage and a Scholar, okay? Having an Astrologian means that you can have that combination no matter what you want. You want a White Mage and a White Mage, you have them go the sect that, gives... The regen. You want a white mage and a scholar, then you just have the Astrologian go the one that gives the barriers. You want a scholar and a scholar, you bring in a scholar and you have your with the Astrologian, you have either of those combinations regardless if they play as good as we think they're going to play.
So we did have a caller. Thank you very much, Danielle, for your call.
Yes,
we didn't thank you.
Thank you.
But yeah, thank you.
I thank you.
Shout out to Goblin.
Gobble.
Heard
some cool people on Goblin.
Hey, we have a lot of fans on Goblin. Goblin are a bunch of cool motherfuckers.
Choo Goblin.
So yeah, I don't know, guys. Are we pretty satisfied with that?
I kind of had a final thought, and then we brought Danielle in. I mean, did you guys want to give your final thoughts on the idea or the direction?
Go ahead and kick us off.
Well,
go for it.
Eskalia, what do you think? Final thoughts on either the direction that they're taking or just the topic in general?
Sure. Well,
good job. Juxtaposition?
I feel like they're doing a pretty good job.
That was rude. I'm calling bullshit. Eskalia,
okay. So it's okay if Happy does it to you on his show, but I can't do it to Eskalia on my show. Sorry, our show. On our show.
Oh, that should have bled through there for a moment, didn't it?
I'm calling BS.
No.
Go ahead, Eskalia.
I think you look at homogenization. If it is right now, I don't think it's a humongous problem. As we talk about, it has the potential to become an issue.
Right.
If it does, I think SE can look around. Lots of other games have made those kinds of issues work. League of Legends has hundreds of champions that they have to make play differently, and they did have a big homogenization problem a couple of years ago where all the champions started coming out and feeling very similar. So now they've not only gone the extra length to make sure new introduced champions are different, but they've started to rework old champions as well.
You mentioned that, and you said that when this happens that they completely rework it and it's completely different.
They keep the base themes of the champion, but really expand on the gameplay.
This has happened actually multiple times in expansion resets for World of Warcraft. Our beneficiary has always been a hunter, and she was always like the best at it. Right. And when one expansion came out, they just like completely tore it down, and she didn't recognize it anymore.
They did that with Rogue at one point.
They've done it with tons of them,
yeah.
and while it does get the point across that, okay, now it's different, it upsets a lot of people because it could end up turning what your favorite class is into something completely unrecognizable.
And it's really bad in World of Warcraft because that's your character. And if you have like all your achievements, all your pets, all your mounts on it, and you don't like your character mode, what are you going to do?
Imagine if you couldn't change off a Dark Knight Aniero and they turned it into Samurai.
Yeah, no,
you'd be Nika 2.0.
That's what Square Enix has always done right, and something I've really loved about their MMOs is that they don't follow that model particularly.
Right. Yep. Yeah. Is that no matter what job balancing comes, your character's not fucked. You know. And I'm sure that we'll hear from a lot of pre-nerf Rangers in 11.
God, they're still crying about that.
I know. People still bitch about that shit.
But that's where, like, if they look at someone like Riot who does it really well, they identify what is essential to, like, what do people love about this champion?
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll build around that.
That's a great way to look at it, too.
Yeah.
Juxta, your thoughts on the topic?
Well, I feel like some homogenization is necessary because
absolutely.
When you look at Bard, you need a Bard in Coil because of the TP regen that you get or the magic debuff. And so they're giving that to Machinist. Now you have a choice between Machinist and Bard. And also with Monk, you need that Dragon Kick debuff so you don't get hit as hard. So on that regard, it's good, but I feel like they need to homogenize the important buffs so that even you don't have to bring a monk every single time. You can bring this other job or whatever. But they also need to make sure they don't give goad to everyone because you don't need goad.
I was going to say, it depends on how they do it. Like, for example, Bards can give TP to everybody. But goad is sort of a decent alternative. I mean, it can't be given to everybody at a time, but it's different. And obviously having Invigorate is another sort of way to go.
Right.
But I think if they are going to do that, finding different ways to do that is what's going to keep it interesting.
Exactly.
Nika?
My thoughts are, I honestly really like the way that they've done it so far, and like how they've managed, like what I brought up before, is that they've managed to make each job kind of rely on each other. And I have a lot of faith, and I mean, I don't know if everyone does, but I have a lot of faith in Yoshi and in the Square Enix as the game currently stands, that they're not going to fuck that up. And I hope that they don't prove me wrong, because I will be extremely crushed, because I do have a high hope for this.
Yeah, just don't Blizzard it, SE. And Aniero.
I think that Square Enix has again been very adept at keeping balancing among the jobs as they have existed throughout all of the 2.0 development, remarkably balanced and remarkably consistent. They have done a great job at making sure that no one job is so clutch that you must bring them to everything, or that no one job, and yes, I'm even including you, lol dragoons, is so bad that you have to exclude them from everything. So they've done a great job. And
eat a dick.
As much as you would like to exclude them, you don't have to.
You don't have to, and that's I think that's a great job. It's a great balancing act that Square Enix has done so far, and now they've got a task in front of them to get from 50 to 60, and then wherever we go from there, and to keep that balance, in perspective. I really hope that they do that without making jobs too similar to play.
Absolutely,
that's my biggest concern. Obviously, look, we've got the Trinity, and the jobs have to adhere to the Trinity. So DPS, for as much as we want them to have some buff skills, their primary reason for being there is to put up numbers. And so that's going to be their primary function. That's never going to change. And we're not going to be able to get away from the Trinity, because if we do, we have to redesign every fucking fight in the game. They're not going to do that. This is the Trinity. We're going to have that for as long as Final Fantasy XIV is a thing. So for those of you who want Red Mage so bad, or Blue Mage, I just don't see.
Not in the way that they.
Not in the way that they exist.
Way.
Yeah, not in the hybrid way, or the way, or the one specific role category. Because look, then that job is going to be excluded from light party content and can only be included in 8-man content. And then who wants to play that shit?
Yep.
So it just and I think it stands to mention that I do love the flexibility of 11. And a lot of people who listen to the State of the Realm episode just, wanted to write me off as someone who wants FF14 to be more like FF11.
You damn hipster neckbeard.
Right, yeah. And I'm not sure that that's exactly fair. I think that there were elements of 11 that I liked that could be brought over to FF14, but the job flexibility is not one of them. Mm-hmm. It's a core function of the game, and I hope that Square Enix keeps everything balanced.
All right.
So, Callow, you strategically positioned yourself last for this one?
Nice job.
No, I already went, but then we brought Danielle in.
Ah.
Yeah.
I
so
see.
way to pay attention, dick. I also just realized, and I did read the outline prior, but I just realized the State of the Realm was here, and I did it at the beginning of the show.
You ass.
My bad.
Nice. Nice job. Nice job. By the way, if you want to call in, if you've got any thoughts to share, you can add us on Skype, Limit Break Radio, or give us a call, 810-515-8715. We will take your call. And let us know. How do you feel about job homogenization? Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Do you want to see more of it? Do you want to see flex roles? Do you want to see hybrid roles? What do you want to see in FF14?
Do you want to see glory holes?
Glory holes! Wait, what?
Nutter's gonna nut.
God damn it!
Yes, he walked into that one.
Straight into it. Aniero, how's your face feeling?
God
damn it. Fucking hate you guys.
You opened wide open for it, man.
I did.
Oh, so good.
Yeah, I left myself wide open for that one. All right. Thank you guys for all of your calls. We really appreciate it. If you have any more, we're still going to be here for a couple of minutes. Again, Limit Break Radio on Skype or 810-515-8715. So last week, last Tuesday, in fact, Nika, Juxta, and I appeared on an episode of State of the Realm, Mr. Happy's podcast about Final Fantasy XIV, also hosted by Sly, a.k.a. Gray Fox, and other members of the Dream Network.
Wait, you mean Slyaka?
Slyaka, yeah.
No, okay. You know... I don't...
Slyaka, a.k.a. Sly.
Oh, God. Okay, yeah, sure. We'll go with that. Anyway, they were very nice for having us on, and we had a whole ton of fun and just came and ran a big old LBR train on their show and made it
We
last...
LBR'd all over them.
We did.
Got in their nose.
I'm sure they don't regret it at all.
In the teeth.
I mean, everyone seemed to be having a good time. The listeners seemed to be having a good time.
Well, I think people either loved it or they hated it.
Or they hated it, yes.
And the vocal people, I think, on the show were the ones who loved it.
Yes.
But apparently the YouTube comments were a different story.
Oh, man.
And they must have added more comments. The last time I read it, there was just a few slight criticisms. I didn't see anything.
Slight criticisms.
Criticisms, right.
Like, nothing I read was like, oh man, I feel really uncomfortable about their comment because I'm offended or something. Like,
no. I don't think it. No, nobody pushed it. Nobody pushed it into the realm of
like that. No, like not that I saw anything.
I don't know. I typically tend to think that sort of shit is funny, but no, there was just a lot of really critical feedback about some of the things that I had to say on the show.
Yeah, and I don't think any of it was to a point where like they're, nobody was logical and like adult about it. It was all, why the fuck did they put peanut butter into my Twix? Where's the caramel?
No, well, I mean, a lot of it was like, oh, this guy's never played WoW, sure has a lot of opinions about WoW. Like.
Yeah, I mean,
and then nothing to back it up. Like, what did I get wrong about WoW? If that's the case, like, I'd love to, if there was a comment that,
wow, this guy's so wrong about WoW item tiers.
Yeah,
that's
I think the biggest thing I saw is that people on YouTube don't understand what the word elitist actually means. I think they call all of us elitist, where I don't think, and compared to people I've met who were clearly elitist, none of us. I mean, all of us have
elitist podcast jerks.
We have our one thing that we were care a lot about, but as a whole, every time one of us would have an opinion, they'd be like, "Oh, there's that elitist attitude." I'm like, "What are you talking about? We're just talking about from like a player's point of view." And I don't think that people really have never really met a true elitist player, if that's what they think. But
Nika, you don't think we should have item levels going from the main storyline to level 90 because you want them to have to farm old content?
That is elitist.
That's very elitist.
Now, generally, when people when people think of elitist, they think that you have to be a fucking dick about it. But you can be an elitist and be the kindest, nicest person who wants everyone to have fun.
Nico.
But you can still be elitist. There's nothing inherently negative about that term. It's just commonly associated that way. Nika, I'm sorry. I mean this in the nicest way. I mean this in the nicest way possible. But out of all of us, you are the most elite.
But
goodbye.
Okay, no, well, I can say that because I do the most endgame content and I play a little bit more hardcore. So in the end, I'm going to have more opinions leading in that direction. I don't think that makes me like, oh, you have to play my way or you suck.
I never said that that's what you are.
And actually,
that's the way that people are assuming.
Yes, no, you're right, and that's actually never something that we've said or encouraged either. But that's the way that people take it. You know, it's
the way the culture's gone right now. If you don't agree with someone's opinion, you're elitist and you're
an asshole.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're an asshole.
Or dirty casual.
I disagree with you, so fuck you.
All we've said is get good a million times.
We're a panel of people. We're here to discuss and debate all possible viewpoints. And so if we have one that seems a little bit more like, I mean, none of us are saying my way or the highway. We're not going to judge you if you have a different opinion, but they think that means we're elitist.
Well, no, but let's just talk about the way that we do this show for a second, okay? Because there are a lot of other podcasts, Final Fantasy 14 and otherwise, just in podcasts in general, media outlets in general, that are so obsessed with getting it right. They just want to get the information right. And they want every fact to be researched, and they want all of their numerical values to be absolutely correct. And then they have a discussion where they tell you all that, and then 4 people sit around and agree with each other.
That's not a discussion.
It's fucking boring. It's boring.
Whoa.
It's fucking boring. And you know what?
Is it entertaining?
It's not.
Oh,
it's not entertaining.
What is it then?
It's boring.
Oh, okay.
Aniero, I have something to say to you.
Yes.
Aniero's a dick. He's a dick.
You're elitist.
Big
That's what you are.
Super dick.
He's got a neck beard.
Dirty neck beard.
And he's an elitist dick.
Elitist dick.
Ninja.
How long did it take you guys to come up with that?
What do you mean?
They got to bed around 2 or 3 last night.
I feel like that was like half of the car ride here, right? Like you guys were just like getting the harmonies right.
Are you kidding? That's just like what we do.
That was like just now.
See, no,
I thought it was cute how Eskalia tried to join in.
I had no idea. Like, no, fuck that. No,
Come on.
No idea. From Frosty TV said in chat, you guys break the limits on being elitist.
But you know what? There's a lot of shows that are just obsessed with getting everything right. And you know what? I'm not one of those people. I would much rather have an interesting discussion where I'm saying that something where I think it might be wrong, or, like, I don't know if it's 100% correct, but it moves the discussion in an interesting way, then sit around and have a bunch of people fucking agree with each other for an hour and a half. That just does not, that fucking bores me out of my skull. That's why I'm desperate for any of you motherfuckers who want to challenge us to call us on the air, because I think that shit is really fucking interesting. So again, Limit Break Radio on Skype, or 810-515-8715 is the number to call.
And speaking of interesting calls, we have Angel Nabolo from from Behemoth.
What's up, Angel? How's it going, man?
No time, no speak, sir.
Okay, what's up?
You don't even. I'm Angel from 718.
Okay. Oh, hey, what's up, man? How's it going?
Chilling. I just going to say this. I hate Juxta for his bullshit about controllers.
We do
I play
too.
on a controller.
Controllers
suck. I hate you for that one.
No.
But I do agree about the job that I just got in a little late, but there are some good things about what they said on how the new jobs won't be cross-class. People were bitching about that. I saw that. And then on top of that, I'm just like, people are actually bitching about the new jobs, but nobody else is bitching about, like me, I play on the PSN. I haven't received my code, and I have to wait till Monday.
Right. Yeah, I've heard a lot of people really concerned about that.
And I'm like, yo, how come nobody's bitching? I'm making the fact that I called so many times, they getting tired of my ass.
Well, and they've come out and said, like, hey, we're going to address the issue, and then it doesn't seem like anything has really happened. Like they said, like, hey, we know that this is a problem, and then it's like, what is it, like 4 days later, and people are looking at their watch like, dude, Friday's coming up.
Yeah.
Jesus,
did you even try? And I sent multiple emails, all that bullshit about, look, I pre-ordered since the first day it opened.
Right.
When pre-orders came in, I went to GameStop, had issues with them, saying, oh, we could do it. When I got there, wasted money in a cab. said, "Oh, we can't do it. We could get you the regular edition."
Right.
I got banned from GameStop for cursing the shit out of me.
Wow.
Hey, I didn't care. You made me come waste cab money both coming and going home.
Yeah.
So I wanted to know what's your take about aka Dark Knight, aka Greatsword, aka the trash. I put a picture up.
I saw that. That was pretty funny. I don't know.
Interesting that a language as ancient as the Japanese can get something so right from the beginning.
Oh, yes. See, I knew that was. Oh God, you're so predictable. No, I thought that was funny. I mean, I don't know. Again, with the job homogenization, are you guys going to be able to make the accuracy jokes like you used to? Are you guys going to be able to make the same jokes about my greatsword sucking?
Don't worry, Aniero. You're going to provide us with plenty of jokes. Worry you not.
I think everybody's gonna make jokes about every class, even about how the machinist is gonna be only able to or it's gonna be having bard like the bard clothing. So I'm gonna hear jokes about that.
Right. Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, it seems like, I don't know. Does it seem like they rooted Bard in favor of giving Machinist a little bit more of flexibility and positioning?
Machinist gets a buff just like the Bard will. Where they stop moving.
Honestly, I don't think there's much more that I can say in any of it until we actually see how they perform.
Yeah. I think so too. Yeah.
I don't agree. I think I can talk about this for ages. So let me keep talking about it. Oh no. Okay.
Shut up.
Angel, thank you so much for the call, man. Do you have any shout outs?
Fox, Sly Fox. I'm part of his free company.
That's what's up.
Cool.
I'm gonna be doing a 24-hour stream on this Friday.
Nice.
So
nice.
I'm gonna try and be up all night.
24-hour screen of 90K. Nice. Look forward to it.
Yeah. We'll get to see the new login screen.
My code.
I predict the FF14 Heavensward section of Twitch right out of the gate for the early access. It's just going to be title screens for every
one of them.
There's just going to be 200 people streaming the title screen and trying to get in. It's
200.
No, probably more than that. You're probably right.
Remember Japan, Britain.
That's true. Yeah, everyone is gonna. That's really why there's so many problems. Is that everyone worldwide is trying to get to be the first one.
Meanwhile, Aniero's playing Final Fantasy 11.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I kind of want to stream FF11 overnight that night,
just to be a dick
and literally have it say I'm playing FF14 in the Twitch stream in like the sub thing, the title, and then just play 11 all night long.
Oh man! All right. Well, thank you very much, Angel. We appreciate the call, man.
Thank you, man.
We know that we've noticed you a lot in the chat room in the Twitch chat, so thank you for hanging out and for being an awesome LB Army member. But one thing that I didn't get to touch on, there was one comment that really stood out to me that I wanted to take a second and talk about, and it was the idea that I am a quote-unquote community figure, and that therefore I have some kind of responsibility not to spread misinformation and lies to the FF14 community.
I'm going to get you a business card that says Aniero Grigory, community figure.
Community figure.
You have to spell it like that.
Figure. Figurr.
And then the rest of the card just says totally accurate.
The only people with that responsibility, I think, are employed by Square Enix.
That is
no one in the community of the social media podcasting. None of us are employed by Square Enix.
That is absolutely correct. And
if Fox News doesn't have to be accurate, neither do we.
No, I'm sorry, Nika. Did you have a?
No.
Okay. But yeah, and that's the thing is that they actually I loved this quote is that if you do, you run the risk of becoming the Rush Limbaugh of Final Fantasy XIV. Okay.
Aniero was at half-mast from that comment.
Let's unpack a few things. First of all, we have never claimed to be an informational source. We've never claimed to be accurate. We've never claimed to be fair. And we've never claimed that we are the end-all be-all for any kind of FF14 discussion, talk, information, whatever. We're not a fucking wiki. We're not a guide.
Anymore.
Sweep that under the rug. Under the rug.
Yeah. Don't mention that. Shh. We are not a fucking information source. And then, so therefore, it is not contingent upon us to have everything researched and everything absolutely correct. I said before, I'm much more interested in having a interesting discussion where elements may be wrong or misinformed or half-informed than I am having a completely factually accurate discussion that's boring as shit.
Yeah, I would agree with that commenter if and only if we forefronted ourselves as the number one informational podcast, the place to go. And that's why people donated to our Patreon, is because they like to hear the factual information.
You know what we're the authority on?
Nobody who is a Patreon donor donates because of the information we give. I guarantee that. So unless that was the way we build ourselves, there is no obligation whatsoever for us to do that.
You want to know what we're the authority on? Dick jokes.
And the rump cock.
Rump cock, dick ninjas, Nick Dinjas.
Richard Logan, attorney at law.
Richard Logan, attorney at law. Astro Logans. Astro Wolverines.
Astro Wolverines.
Yeah,
Space Wolverines.
Space Wolverines. Thank you.
Wheelchairs.
Salty wheelchairs. Yes.
That one just rolls off the tongue, too.
Don't worry. Aniero, the guy who made that comment to you immediately went over to Jon Stewart's YouTube page and said the exact same thing to him.
But, I'm just... Look, we don't have a responsibility to... Look, first of all, we don't have to be nice. Let's just get that out of the way. The idea that we have to be fucking nice about anything or on any appearance that we make. No, we don't have to be. We don't have to sanitize our opinions, and we don't have to sanitize the show to appeal to the most amount of people, okay? We do this show, and we've done this show purely for our entertainment, and we're really glad that you're supporting us on patreon.com/Limit Break Radio. Free plug there. But no one at Nika brought up this point, and it's 100% perfect, 100% accurate. No one on our Patreon page is giving to us because we're giving out accurate information that they're then taking and using in their Final Fantasy XIV lives.
You know, there is a podcast who acts just like what he wants, and that is Limit Break Radio 1.0.
Oh, yeah.
And guess what? That wasn't fun.
No.
That wasn't fun.
Parts of it were fun.
Parts of it were, but overall...
The parts where we were wrong was fun.
Since we've stopped doing that and we've started doing this, it's been so much more fun.
It is. It's fun. It's fun for us.
I started this show today. I actually realized, I'm what is this? I'm smiling right now. It's weird.
We have something to look forward to.
Yeah.
No, ever since our first episode coming back, we promised two things on the beginning of that episode.
Yes.
That we would be entertaining and honest with our opinions.
Yes.
And that's it.
That's it.
We
That's
deliver
all.
on both of those points every single week.
That's all you get. That's all you get when you tune into Limit Break Radio. If you want factually accurate, there are plenty of other shows that go out of their way to make sure that everything is factually accurate. They're great Final Fantasy XIV shows. They're not our show.
We're all butt healed.
And that's okay. It's okay. It's okay if you don't like it. It's okay if you don't like what we do. You don't have to listen to it. Change the dial. Because you know what? The alternative of sanitizing our opinions and making sure, like trying to present ourselves so that the most people will be able to stomach our show, it's not going to be fun for us. It's not going to be fun for the people who have already given to our Patreon page that decide that they like what we do.
Yasutora Icewatch says, this is boring. I want more dick jokes.
There needs to be more dick jokes. Yes, the dick joke quota has suffered.
Get that crap out of here.
That's
There
not a
we
dick
go.
drop.
No, I'm saying get your spiel out of here.
All right. All right. Before we move into emails, we've got a couple of emails, and then we're going to wrap up here. Again, if you have any final thoughts you'd like to call into the show, send a Skype message on over to Limit Break Radio or call 810-515-8715.
By the way, quick shout out to Kookie, who plugs us to get people to call. She'd be like, hey Aniero, call at this number. Disagree with LBR, call at this number. Want to tell Aniero he's an asshole? Call at this number.
Yeah, she's got him locked, cocked, and loaded.
Let's go, guys. Come on. I've been waiting for these calls, and they never come. They never come.
Hey, phrasing!
That one took me a second. God damn
it. Took me a second too.
That one took me a second. God damn you.
You could see it in his face. He's like, what?
Oh, yeah.
Man, we're double teaming him today, dude. He's taking it from both sides.
Oh my God.
Phrasing.
Thank you.
He says just thank you to getting it from both sides.
You're welcome. Please. Please come again.
All right. So we do want to make an announcement here towards the end of the show. We're not quite done yet, but we have been talking about this. It has been funded. We have to make this a reality.
Oh, we do?
I am referring, of course, to our gaming show. Our
General gaming show.
General gaming show, which
has a better name now.
Yes.
Than the GGS.
Yeah, the GGS.
GGs. Oh, that could have worked pretty good. You know what?
Actually,
screw that other name. We're going to GGs. We're the GGs. All right.
But no, yeah, we've wanted to launch a show that talks about more than Final Fantasy for a long time now, and because of your support over at patreon.com/limitbreakradio, that dream is becoming a reality, and we're very excited to announce our new show, which will be called Final Encounter Cast, and it's going to be premiering Sundays after Limit Break Radio, and you can hear our first show. It's been tentatively scheduled for June 28th. We're going to make the June goal.
Yep.
So look forward to that. Let us know what you think of the name. I'm sure most people are going to hate it. We've gone through. We've loved it. We've hated it. We've gone back and forth.
We actually had one night where we all came up with ideas, and in fact, there's a Patreon.
Video
where we, and we finally got down to a few of them, and Nero was like, you know what? No.
Suck. Start over.
And me and Juxta were in the same room. We're like, that motherfucker.
We're pretty butthurt about it.
But I think it's all part of the process. We want to make sure that we pick the right title and we give it a good now it's contingent on me to make an intro. I was sitting down yesterday. I had a little bit of not like writer's block, but
I like how
audio producer's
your
block.
whole big thing was I need the right name to make an intro. Then we finally got the name, and you're like, guys, I'm having trouble with this intro. I'm like, you son of a bitch.
Oh, you're gonna do that a lot in this process.
Our whole life basically comes down to calling Aniero a son of a bitch every other day.
I go hey, I'm gonna make the intro. Eskalia, would you want to maybe do a video portion to go along with that we could play on the stream?
I make the video intro. I was like, how did you make it? I haven't given you anything.
I gave him nothing. There's no audio.
It's a really good one.
But no, you've done some really good legwork. It actually gave me a lot to build off of.
So we are on the note of this general gaming show. We are on Patreon. We're $103 away from that being a weekly show.
Yes,
by the way,
right? Yes,
which does not exist yet.
Which, speaking of, in the next couple of weeks, we're going to have some new Patreon levels. We're going to have both levels that you can give at to get stuff from, as well as some new milestone goals and a pretty. We want to try to plan out a content strategy moving forward. When we had originally done our content strategy, we were like, this is going to be it for a year, and you guys blew us away by reaching that in a month and a half. And so we're scrambling to try to figure out okay, what else can we do? So we're gonna unveil that at our Patreon page. And while I've got you here, patrons, I want to tell you something. If you've given to the Patreon page, you have to go back to the Patreon page to get the links for the bonus content. So we've gotten some emails where people have been confused to where they can receive their bonus content. They thought maybe it was going to be emailed to them.
It gets posted right on the page.
It's right to the page.
Bookmark
Patreon. Just keep checking back at patreon.com/limitbreakradio and check under the section of creations, and you'll be able to check out the bonus content that we make. The Green Room show that happens after this show wraps up, as well as any other bonus content that we have going up there. And as a quick status report, I'm told that the keychains have been shipped. Woo! And that Max is putting the final touches on the design for the t-shirt and the poster.
Woo!
So those are very near completion. Thank you guys so much. And if you want to support Limit Break Radio, patreon.com/Limit Break Radio is the way to do that. All right. Let's move on to emails.
Email.
Who wants to take the first one?
Juxta, because it's short.
Hello, Limit Break Radio crew. As I experience more of the endgame side of Final Fantasy XIV, I realize that it's almost becoming a necessity to use add-ons or tools such as ACT to, quote, play, quote, properly. Is there any other known tools that can help improve the overall quality of Final Fantasy XIV in the late endgame? More importantly, which ones are safe to use? Or are they all an equal threat / breaking the user agreement?
Whoa, what?
Interestingly, not signed.
Whoa, what's
Not signed.
That's not surprising at all.
What's ACT?
What is ACT? I don't use any tools at endgame, and I play just fine.
Yeah, sorry for whoever you are.
I think the best tool is #getgood.
But
in all honesty, I don't use anything, never have, and I don't think you need it to
I was
play.
going to say, what necessary uses
I'm
there?
curious what you mean by it's becoming necessary to use to play properly. The only thing I ever hear anyone ever talk about is a parser. And you don't need that to play at all. And any other tools you can just do by reading the chat log. So Can
I pose a theory? This was someone getting a ton of shit from his or her friends for using tools and was hoping we would justify it on air.
That makes sense.
That's a good one.
Aniero, do you know about an add-on called ACT?
Yeah, the parser. Yeah.
So,
what?
How is that a necessary tool? Like, is that all it does is parse?
I think it's got things where you can like develop LUA plugins for it, but
it has things where like it'll read off the boss's moves to you before they happen. So
it's like deadly boss mods from WoW.
That's extremely necessary as opposed to just memorizing
that
things.
Literally shouts stuff like, this phase is starting. Watch out for that fireball. Move out of that bad stuff.
I hated that.
Basically, if you think that that's necessary to play, then you just aren't.
#getgood.
I know. I don't want the elitist attitude coming out, but I mean, if you play a raid long enough, you learn the rotation, you learn what it is. I mean, you can just write it down and memorize it, or just don't. Just pay attention to the casting log, and you don't need ACT to call out like.
No, you don't. You don't. But it does. I mean, it does. It is a tool for assisting you in maximizing your DPS. So, I mean, in instances where you need to be doing your ideal DPS, if you're cutting your teeth on T13 after it was just released, it helps, and it helps provide a degree of context. But I'm not sure that I would throw it in the category of necessary.
No, absolutely not. Because what FF14 does well that maybe WoW didn't really do is WoW didn't put bad stuff on the ground. Like, it didn't say, look, here's where the AoE's gonna
Here's the
fall.
bad, get away.
Right. That's already telegraphed. So by saying necessary, what you're saying is that it is necessary for the game, not just to show you, but to actually tell you, hey, move out of that.
Yeah.
No,
I don't. No. Yeah, exactly.
It's not necessary at all.
It's not a situation where the patterns aren't being drawn on the ground. I mean, I feel like FF14 presents you all of the information you need to know, and very much unlike Windower, who that was a great piece of programming that provided you with context that the game did not provide you with, that the game's UI, the HUD, did not provide you with. FF14 has none of that. The HUD and the design provides you with all of the context that you need.
The only leg you might have to stand on is that we can't see other melee's TP, which honestly, we don't really need to see.
At this point, it doesn't matter that much because skill chains aren't a thing.
Yeah.
Zyle mentioned in chat, like, one thing you can find ACT is if your group's hitting in rage and you need to find out which DPS is slacking after the run, maybe for that.
Oh, but look out! That's an elitist tool.
Witch hunt!
But there's going to be discrimination and witch hunts.
Witch hunting.
I mean, and I think that's where this person's point of view is coming from. To me, what it sounds like is they said they're starting to experience more of the endgame. Makes it sound like they're in a static or a party where almost everyone uses ACT, and they're starting to feel either left behind or they're getting berated because of it. They're probably taking longer to learn rotations because they're not hearing the moves called out. And I understand that in your situation, you may feel it's more necessary because the people around you are pushing you in that direction. However, I can tell you from an endgame raider's point of view, it is definitely not necessary to experience the endgame, and you might just need to find a different group of people to play with.
See, that opinion right there, that was elitist, but it was good. It was a good elitist.
It was a valid elitist opinion.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, I have another one. It's not on the outline, so I'm gonna. But I just got it from Skype. So.
Oh.
from, I don't know if he wants his name read, so I'm not going to name it. I have never heard of Final Fantasy, but after coming across your guys' show and hearing the passion you guys have, I have bought a subscription, and maybe in a few months I'll call you, quote, elitist scum, and excite you guys with an interesting phone call.
Yay!
There we go.
Hey, that's
Welcome
awesome.
to the game, man.
That's awesome. That's so exciting. I'm so that's a huge that's
huge.
such a huge compliment to say, hey, I just came across your show and you guys are so you're so into it that it was infectious and it made me want to try it out. That's so cool. Welcome to FF14.
That's one of my favorite things to hear.
Yeah, seriously, that's one of the highest compliments that you can give. Thank you so much.
And also, I misread what he said, and I tried to call him. Sorry about that. My bad.
Whoops.
Just checking. That email is not signed Aniero Grigori, is it?
No.
No, this is someone who sent me a Skype message.
Oh,
okay.
Just now.
That's very awesome. Very awesome.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, and we do want to hear from you in the future, so hopefully you will call us.
Let us know how it's going.
Yeah, let us know how you. Yeah, totally. All right, who wants to take our next email here?
Let Nika take this one.
Yeah,
Nika, get this email.
There's some cutesy faces in here, so I think
there's like this little bear face or something, whatever it is. It's so cute.
It means that Nika has to read it. Yep.
Okay, it says, "Hello, everyone. Cute little face. I am sure everyone is getting busy and preparing for the launch of Heavensward. There is one thing I truly love that Square Enix did in order to get us more excited for Heavensward: the illustration art countdowns! Exclamation point. As of this email, the countdown is at 9 days, and so far my favorite one might be the 10th day, showing the art of an astrologian drawn by Chieko Tomioka. What is everyone's favorite illustration art so far? Sincerely, Akiyumi."
Hashtag teacher voice.
That wasn't my teacher voice.
I actually haven't went to look at them, but now that you mentioned the days, I've actually seen a few of them put up on Facebook.
Yeah.
And I think day 12 was really cool looking.
Which one was that?
It had, I think it was like a monk on it who was doing like a jump kick sort of thing, and I think there was a Lalafell
stretching.
or stretching. And was there a Lalafell in the background or something?
No, it's a baby chocobo in the egg.
Oh, yeah, there's something in the background, but I thought that was pretty neat looking.
The
And
chocobo is saying, kick the gobu.
Yeah, all the actual art does look.
The astrologian one is very like, I don't want to say realistic, but it has like the shading and the coloring that makes it more
That's my
stand out,
favorite
which
so
is
far.
why I see that. The recent one, the day 9 one, is really interesting.
I was a big fan of the warrior one with La Brea in the background.
Oh my gosh,
that one was so that one was so fucking cool. It was I wish, what would be even cooler, Square Enix, is if you would allowed people to buy prints of these. Like,
oh my gosh, that would be
it's
so
super
awesome.
like it is really cool that they're digital and they're nice and big and people can get into that and they share them on Facebook and that's all cool, but I would have gone crazy for like super limited run, like 50 prints each, screen printed.
Yes.
That would have been amazing.
Would you have had the money to buy one of those?
Oh, totally.
Oh, all right.
Totally. I mean, like they're generally not that expensive. We're looking at doing.
If you do like a limited 50 run, you're not marking them up just because of how rare it is.
No,
you don't think so?
No,
because Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. does that you can buy prints like for each episode. They have like a famous comic book like artist like draw up a thing, right?
Right. Cool.
And those posters go up. They're like $50 each.
Oh yeah, like 50.
But they're not limited run. I feel like if you were going to limit them to 50, like you could easily put them up for 200 and somebody'd buy them.
50 people would buy them.
Oh yeah,
50 people.
It kind of depends on who's selling them. I buy a lot of those things in the general market for a print about that size from a campaign like this, even limited to 50 or 100 or even 150. I would say $50 to $70 would be totally reasonable. Anything over that, I feel a little bit gouged, but being that it's 14, I would totally do it anyway. So yeah, they could easily get away with it.
Oh my gosh, guys!
What?
We should totally do a limited print run of our show.
Oh my god!
Well, there is the idea to take the poster that Max is doing and get that screen printed.
I know we got that one, but of our show, like of a random part during the show.
How do we?
Someone gets up on like the table, takes a picture of 4 sweaty guys sitting in a room.
I do not understand what you're going
No,
for.
no, not of us. Of when we're of like the show.
Someone could recreate a scene from the show of us as our characters.
No, not as our characters.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Okay, yeah. At least I'm not the only one that's totally confused.
Take his mic away. It's never too late.
Hashtag
right on time.
Hashtag ban Juxta. Thank you, Akiumi, for your email. And that brings us to our next email. Who wants to take this?
I'll go ahead and go. This is the long one.
Yes, it is.
Hey, guys, I wanted to touch on your conversation on State of the Realm last week and also go back to a topic from a couple episodes back. The main story quest in the expansion is now going to be offering double experience points and additionally adding gear into some of the quests. This is an extremely good thing for the newer players joining our game, and I can understand the initial knee-jerk reaction that it's making the journey too easy for them, but in reality, it is only making it much more accessible. Following second coil completion in 2.1, I had the ambition to level an alternate character for various reasons. I had a summoner and didn't want to spend 10k Grand Company seals every time I wanted to respec for Scholar. Helping FC mates in coil, you know, all the stuff they fixed in 2.4. Anyways, it just made it a huge waste of time making an alt. 1 through 50 was absolutely no problem. And then I stalled out hard. A fresh 50, as of writing this, is incredibly handicapped on geared, irrelevant to skill level. You just hit 50 in your setup in your AF gear, and you might have an item level 70 Grand Company weapon. What now? Go through the valuable experience of grinding some gear out, right? This process is absolutely fucking horrendous. SE had to implement some item level requirements for some instances for obvious reasons. However, this is the bane of somebody who has freshly hit 50 because there are very few opportunities to actually get any gear at all. This wall is excessively... Oop, I messed it up. Where'd I go? Is excessively large and drawn out, and it really only made sense for the people who progressed from patch to patch. In 2.0, we brought Darklight with easily obtained tomes, but Darklight can't be bought now. It can only be obtained through specific dungeon drops, and given the vast variety of gear available, the chances of seeing a full set of Darklight are incredibly small, especially with decent crazy loot whores around. Cough, cough, Nika.
Hey, Square Enix put in that system. That's not my choice.
After Darklight, we had Myth gear. Also obtainable through dungeons, and not even obtainable by a fresh 50 because the item level requirements for these dungeons is higher than they will currently be outfitted with. To compound this problem further, given the item level bloat of dungeons, you can't even unlock all the high level dungeons, never mind expert and trial roulettes, so that new player is stuck grinding out previously completed content to make slight upgrades to their gear to unlock a new dungeon for another chance of possible upgrading their gear. These dungeons give fuck all in the way of tomes, so even purchasing any soldiery gear is an arduous process. Basically, the options boil down to unrealistically purchasing crafted gear from the market board for millions of gear, not likely, or spamming Labyrinth of the Ancients and hoping to get enough item level 80 gear to possibly unlock a roulette or two, and let's be brutally honest, there is absolutely no gaming value or experience to be had face rolling that bullshit with a bunch of AFKers and Netflix watchers. So as butthurt as anyone wants to be that a fresh player will have as much easier time gearing up, it's a necessity. And let's be honest, it's content you're not running anymore, and I'm going to add something, that Aniero and Nika don't even want to run anymore. So how does that hurt your experience? Secondly, on that note, this is a common argument many people make regarding nerfs to content in the game. You've done that content, so it doesn't affect you. However, in stark contrast to main story quests, nerfing something such as Steps of Faith, in fact, does hurt many of the people who have cleared it already. SE has already stated they operate on something called content costs. What this basically means is they want as many people running as much of their content as is possible. That just makes sense. What this also means is they are going to create as much content as possible. At least half of the player base is going to be clearing. Savage Coil is awesome, a ton of fun, and very challenging. It's also a great example of poor content cost, and we didn't see anything similar to it again. The nerfs to Step of Faith do not bode well for the player base at all due to this same reason. Square Enix offered us a unique instance, a boss that can't be positioned, alternative means of attacks, and new environments including stairs to run up, dragon slayers to fire, and chains to tether on the boss. And as a player base, fucking sucked at it. Not only did we suck at it, but we also cried them to nerf this content because although you have NPCs telling you exactly what to do, people still fail hardcore at it because you had to do more than just hold it down and punch it like a bad elementary school fight.
That's a great point.
There's only so many times this will happen before the developers quickly realize the only content the player base is capable of completing are those encounters in a round area with face roll mechanics and good old tank and spank mentality. At that point, we can scream and shout for more challenging content, but there are only so many times that you can cry wolf. Nerfing content or defending the nerfing of content for any reasons whatsoever is an extremely poor attitude and lowers the benchmark for player skill and accountability and will only hurt the challenge the game offers in the future. Hashtag get good. Anyways, thanks for producing such a fun show to listen to. It gets better every week, and you guys are doing a great job. Wiston Aglaxia?
My senior thesis was shorter than that.
Algecia.
I really love that email.
That was really good.
That was a fantastic email. And a point that I had never even really considered is what gear progression looks like to a fresh 50 player.
A friend of ours that just started playing, he was like item level 60 or whatever, was having trouble getting gear. So I'm like, all right, I'll go buy him some. The item level 90 gear, which, by the way, only costs like 10 or 12K per piece to craft, is going for almost $500,000 each.
Are you serious?
The HQs, though, right?
Yes. Well, nobody crafts the NQs, so...
I'm just saying if you want the item level bump, that you just can use the NQs.
Right, but there are no NQs up there.
Yeah.
But yeah. Yep.
I have a friend who's a fresh 50, and she's having an absolute night with it. All she's doing is grinding Labyrinth of the Ancients and Crystal Tower and stuff like that, and she hates it.
Yeah.
Because... Well, yeah.
So let me ask
who
you,
can blame her?
Aniero and Nika, because you were of the opinions that people should not be handed gear. They should have to do all this old content. This in mind, what do you think?
My first opinion on this is I've never liked that they got rid of the old tomes and then put them in dungeons. That has never, ever been a mechanic I've liked about this. I think that if they kept like the early dungeons giving philosophy tomes so that those people who do those dungeons during the storyline could then buy the Darklight, I have no problem with that, and I think that's silly. And I think restricting it so that you might get a drop maybe of Darklight, maybe in this dungeon for new players is absolutely horrible, and I do agree. So I've never liked that. But on the other hand, I don't think getting soldiery is as hard as it sounds. And we all hate Crystal Tower, so I'm welcoming their hate to the Crystal Tower. They can do Crystal Tower with very, very low eye level and build themselves
up. But that's what they're saying. They're not saying that soldiery is hard to obtain, because obviously we can all get it super easy.
Right.
But right now, like for example, the friend I was talking about, he can only run like Wanderer's Palace and Ambador Keep. Nika, you want to tell us how much soldiery those give?
I don't even know.
Like 20 or 30.
Single digits.
Yeah.
Oh,
they give
5 and 9 now, isn't it?
Single digits. So what you're saying, Nika, is should they be grinding out their soldiery, waiting?
Gear is what, like waiting 100.
But they should be waiting 30 to 40 minutes in queue to get 5 soldiery to then go and buy something that costs 800.
They can't do experts.
What's the eye level requirement for Labyrinth of the Ancients?
I have no idea.
I actually don't know.
Because
I have no idea.
That's low enough that you can enter regularly, and you get all your gear for that. You can easily enter the next tier of dungeons.
But it's a terrible experience. That is not fun to do. The only reason that we have fun doing it is because of dick ninjas like me and Juxta.
Okay, it's item level 50 for Labyrinth of the Ancients.
So
you
can
hit 50 and go into that.
Over and 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 over until you can get to Circus Tower and then grind that over and over and over and over and over and over.
I would not play this game.
Yeah,
if I was
what else do you want to be able to do at that point?
But you realize
what other fucking
game? But you realize we all did play that game. If you don't like that idea, why didn't you quit when that was all we were doing?
We did not, because when it came out and I ran it 40 times to get my Black Mage pants, I wasn't waiting 30, 45 minutes to get in.
Q population has a lot to do with that.
People were actually doing them. You didn't have to put up with AFKers, and you didn't have to put up with Netflix watchers, and you have to put up with dick asses like me and Juxta.
And you got a whole bunch of tombstones for it. Now you're getting a fraction of what you got before.
That's true too.
That's fair. Like I'm not arguing that point. I'm not saying it shouldn't be easier for them to get gear. I just don't think I feel like Square Enix wants to hand it to them, whereas rather than just making things easy. I don't know.
Here's
I'm in the middle on this, I guess.
I guess here's my thing is that like that's fine, and I do agree. This is again a very cogent email that explains the problem in very easy to understand terms, and I get it. That is a problem. The thing that I don't like, the thing that I don't want, and the attitude that I get pissed with is I got 50, I should be able to do everything now.
No, I agree. That's
that is some people coming into Heavensward.
And that's that's not just some people coming into Heavensward. That's a very vocal portion of this community. That gimme attitude. I just want it now. Nerf my content. I don't care about what other people's experience are. I just want to be able to get through it. Make it easy enough so that I can get through it. Me.
Yeah, and my original point was not like new players should be fucked and not be allowed to get gear. That is not what I was trying to say, and I think I've been misunderstood. I just think
I realize
people who are saying like, I just want to get through all this content, give me the shit so I can experience the new stuff. My whole point was like, yeah, you shouldn't have to grind Labyrinth and Ancients forever, but like at least experience it. It's new to you. You'll be able to do it with everyone else who's newly starting with this, and then you move on. And I think,
but to get through the story, you do have to experience it. You just don't have to grind it over and over and over again.
And we have a caller calling in, Fayer Serini of Balamung, who wants to talk about what it is like to be a fresh level 50.
Hey, what's up?
Not much, yeah.
Well, we're doing a radio show. We're pretty good. So tell us, what is it like being a fresh 50? Give us a little bit of perspective, because I mean,
none of us are fresh 50s.
Yeah, we're all assholes here. So.
I can't say I mind it, to be honest. I mean, it doesn't seem difficult overall. I mean, everyone's doing the content that I'm...
Okay, how long have you had a 50? When did you get your first?
Like 2 weeks.
Okay, and then what was the first thing you were able to do after that? What was your first, like, where did you go with it, and where did you go with your gear leveling, and what was your first, like, target of attack?
Well, everything I found in the duty finder said that I needed item level 80 or something, and I was in White Mage AF, so I just kind of did everything that got me soldiery until I got an item level 100 piece.
Right. And I mean, really, when you're getting eye level 100 pieces and things like that, that shoots your eye level up a lot.
It does help. Yeah.
And you know, I understand why some people bemoan the eye level requirement, and you know, it can suck. Did you experience a lot of people who would take your loot, or you know, people who didn't need it, people who had gear way better, you know, that were maybe taking it for desynth or something? Did you experience a lot of that? A lot of gear?
It's like being ninja from you.
Tons. In my first few runs through Circus Star, I'm like, there's no way these people needed this, and I was like, why did you need that? Yep. And they're like, oh, points.
Yeah, I'll tell you right points? Now. Yeah. Doing my Zodiac dungeons, I didn't need anything I can need on.
Oh yeah, totally.
It's not even a second thought. Thinking of it, even when I go in and it says,
man,
you know,
that sucks.
Yeah, there's a new player to this duty. You'll get bonus stuff.
Yeah.
I could
don't even think about it.
Look to see,
you guys all
if
give
he
me
is
shade
a DPS
for desynth, but if you think about it, if I ever care that much about desynth, I ask politely, and I always say, if you don't need it for your job, if you would be kind enough. And if someone actually comes in and says, hey, I really just need this armor craft stuff, I am willing to pass in that sense. If you don't ask, I'm not going to pass.
Nika, we are 110% aware that the shit we give you is 100% unjustified, and you are the least assholey person amongst all of us.
I know,
you don't need to state it. It's okay.
It's not going to stop.
To you. I know that. I'm trying to let the people listening understand where I'm coming from, and especially for new players who, if you just say, hey, I'm really new, I really just need jobs, gear for this one job. Someone who needs it for desynth might be willing to pass that gear. If they're doing Weaver desynth and you're a caster, maybe they'll just lot on the healer stuff and give you the caster stuff. You have to, I feel like common courtesy and politeness in the game goes a long way. And sadly, a lot of people just need on things and act like assholes without.
But on the other side of that, I almost never see people ask for the gear.
True.
Yeah.
If you need it.
I'm always afraid when I need on something that someone's going to be like, really? And I have to be like, I need it for glamour.
No, I mean, if they would have said that they needed that one piece, I would be glad to pass it.
Yeah. If I was running in Labyrinth of the Ancients and somebody said, hey, I need gear from this for my eye level. Please don't lot it. I would
wouldn't
not
even
lot
say
it.
that. Just if they just say, if you really, really don't need it for your own job, would you mind passing it? And I don't even say like, oh, if you need it. Actually, when I ask, I'm like, well, if you actually need it, I don't mind. Go ahead and need on it. But if you don't, please let me have a chance to roll on it. And I'm totally cool with that.
Yeah, but the thing is, the point is that it's contingent on you as the new player. If you need that piece or if you need gear, you got to say something.
Make that known.
Speak up. Don't just assume that we know.
The fact of the matter is people are going to be assholes. People are going to need it. And I think that's partly Square Enix's fault. I mean, they've created the descent system and the system where you turn things in for allied seals, and everyone needs those.
Right.
Like, once you hit eye level descent of like eye 80 stuff, I mean, that's hard to get by just crafting. You need the gear from the dungeon, the crystal towers, and that's where you get it from.
Yeah.
And it's to keep people going back and doing that content with the new players. So in the end, what you end up with is people taking the gear, because that's the only reason they're there, and that's the only reason that the new player even had a group to go with, because everyone's there for the glamour or the descent. So that's partly Square Enix's fault, but it does keep the players returning to that content. You just have to make it known if you need something.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for your call. Very appreciate the perspective as a fresh level 50.
By the way, speaking of who's an asshole and who isn't an asshole on this show,
okay.
At ColossalCon, I conducted a little mock interview.
Mock poll.
Thank you. That's what I'm looking
there
for.
You go.
Went around and interviewed 12 random people, some of which had heard of Limit Break Radio.
What a huge sample size, man.
That's very scientific.
Wow.
Okay, so I was at a convention and didn't feel like spending half my day for the show. Anyway. 12 people, 6 guys, 6 girls, a couple of which had heard of the show, most of which had not. And
so
I asked them,
randomly taking shots in the dark?
Don't believe that at all.
You said some people haven't even heard of the show.
Yeah.
Okay, continue.
Okay, yeah, no, just walk up to them and ask them, well, you got a camera, you got a microphone, people will talk to you.
Okay,
anyway, not the point. So 12 people asked, I'm going to give you a name, and you're just going to tell me asshole, not an asshole.
Very scientific. Continue.
Yeah, okay.
So we went through the 5 we went through the 5 people on the show. Nika, I think a little bit of sexism might play in here. You are 0 for 12 people thought you were an asshole just based on your name.
Awesome.
Kallo, you had 9 out of 12 people think you are in fact an asshole based on your name.
Can you break that down for me, the men and women?
All 3 who said you were not an asshole were women.
Yeah.
So that is good. Juxta, you had you were pretty much right in the middle there. Some people thought you were an asshole. Some people thought you weren't.
To be fair, I think his name is a little different because it's not really a name.
It's a word. I did have 2 people ask, like, wait, is that the name? So, yeah.
Okay, well, much credibility.
I was tied with Kallo. I also had 9 people, but unfortunately, all the women did not agree that I wasn't an asshole. I had plenty of them call me an asshole too.
Did they know it was you when you said that name?
No,
because Eskalia is also a female name.
No, they did not. No.
So I would be interested to know why I got 0 and you had 9.
I think
you
Nika,
just sound friendly. Nika
is clearly a name. I've actually never really thought that Eskalia was a female name. But that's because,
we know him.
So.
But his female Mithra or whatever is Eskalia is a female.
But Aniero, I'm pleased to say that 12 out of 12 people unanimously agreed that you were an asshole.
Yeah.
so no worries there.
Now we know what rubs people the wrong way. We have to change our name.
It's the name, yeah.
That's it. Yeah, it has.
I think
it has nothing.
We should just start introducing you as Annie. Annie the orphan. Annie the orphan
12 out of 12 people will say Annie is not an asshole.
Yeah, because who thinks Annie is an asshole, that little blind twat?
Anakin Skywalker?
Oh, never mind. Everyone will think he's an asshole.
I'm fine with this. I
figured you wouldn't be too upset about it.
Oh, yeah. You hurt. Dude, you guys hurt my feelings.
He's going to jerk off to that fact later.
While crying, just to be weird. I don't know. So here's our final email for this week.
We have 2 more.
No, this is our final one. We got to get out of here. Dear LBR hosts, I've been listening and greatly enjoying your podcast, only just recently having finally caught up on episodes. I had actually found LBR shortly after you released your pilot episode, but to my current regret, I didn't try to really follow you at the time, having no idea what was going on. More recently, I was listening to episode 12.55, where you made a response to a user commenting regarding voice acting. acting. I really don't have anything to add about the weeaboo side of the discussion. I prefer English voice acting unless it's unbearably bad.
Good job.
But will admit to being surprised at the praise you gave FF14's voice acting, leading me to really stop and think about why you would believe that. I could understand that post-release cutscenes, but while I didn't hate 2.0's voice acting, I generally thought it was average at best. To fix this, I went back and actually listened to some of the old cutscenes. Can I just stop and praise this awesome person for hearing one of our opinions and then going, I don't know if I agree with that. Let me do some research to find out.
Why would he do that?
Cheers to you, sir. That's amazing. First off, Minfilia's voice acting, in my opinion, is the worst of the lot. No, I
agree.
I totally agree. No, that's
12 out of 12.
That's totally legit. It may be this is a case of something in her voice that grates on me rather than a statement of quality. But even post-released, I dreaded any time she spoke. No,
you're right.
She pauses in weird places.
She pauses in weird places, and I just her overall attitude of the character, goody-goody, pure-hearted thing just doesn't do it for me.
It worked for Agnes. It doesn't work for her.
Yeah. Oh, good parallel.
I hate Agnes.
We hate you.
I hated Agnes for different reasons, though.
Unacceptable.
I liked Minfilia's boobs, though.
Is that why you didn't like Agnes? Because you couldn't see her boobs?
She's like 12, bro.
That's what I'm asking. Is that why you don't like Agnes? No boobs?
No?
Okay, good. Okay. We're just checking.
That sounded like there was no right way. There was no right way to answer that, Juxta. I don't think. What was confusing though was how different other people's voices were, how they sounded compared to now. I thought. Compared to now to how I thought they were. I clearly remember being disappointed, for example, with Merylweb's speech when your character is doing their first tour of the nations.
Yeah.
At the time, I remember expecting a speech of fire and brimstone and being bored with what I got. But looking back on it now, I can't figure out why. It's similar with Raubon's speech. At the time, I remember being unimpressed, but now I'm fine with it and actually think it's pretty good. Maybe I just don't. Maybe I just know the characters and their voices better. But I'm still not sure why I feel so differently now compared to back then.
Raubon's speech kicked the asses of both Merylweb and Connie Senna's.
But if we're talking voice acting specifically, I've always liked Merylweb's voice. I thought it was very strong.
I agree. No. I think Merylweb fits the character very well. But there's also a roughness to it, as the voices don't entirely fit together, I think. To make a long email short, it was good, not mediocre like I remembered. Maybe the problem is that we tend to remember flaws before we remember success.
Yes.
I think that's a very important point that all of us need to remember, especially when we're drawing so many comparisons to other games and talking about, job homogenization. This whole show is that, you can underscore this entire show with that point that maybe the problem is that we tend to remember flaws before we remember success. Great point.
I remember all of Aniero's flaws. There's many of them.
That, or I'm not alone in not liking Minfilia's voice, and considering the fact that only Alphinaud talks more than her, and that makes her presence known early. We just make her the face of FF14 voices. That's also true. That's a good point. Anyway, guys, keep up the good work. You're all very entertaining. And oh my gosh.
Notice he said,
oh, that's from Sturgitron. Thank you, Sturgitron.
Notice he said, you're all very entertaining, not factually accurate.
Yes, exactly. Thank you. Yes. Also,
you're not funny.
Yeah. Fine. We're also not funny, too. I'm fine with that.
Jux is just pissed that I made him uncomfortable.
Yes, the only way he knows how to strike back is through drops. But thank.
Oh, shots fired.
Thank you very much, Sturgitron, for your email. We definitely appreciate it. And yeah, I think overall FF14 had good voice acting. Maybe not as good at the beginning as toward the end.
Mm-hmm. They came into their own, though.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
I think what bothers me most about it is sometimes there's a distinct lack of background music, and when you don't have the background music, you notice the gaps between people talking a lot more.
It's possible.
That's been my biggest thing. Not the actual voice acting themselves, but the way it's put together. Like somebody will say something, long pause, somebody responds, and it's weird sometimes.
It's kind of like it's out of a sitcom where they're waiting for like the applause break to be over, or the laugh track to play.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes you have to click to move the conversation on, don't you? But it's more like when someone's giving a 3 sentences spiel and they'll pause in the middle of their sentence is weird. And that's why I think Minfilia's is the only voice that actually still bothers me at this point in the game. Everything else.
Well, she's dead, so it works out.
Unpopular opinion, I like Minfilia.
Me too.
I don't mind the sound of her voice. I just think that the way she speaks is strange.
I think it's her accent. Sounds like a little different everybody else's, and I think that's what I like about it.
Okay.
Okay.
Good voice acting. Anyway, thank you very much, Sturgitron. I see you in the chat. Thank you. Shout out to you for your email. Awesome.
This is true. Oriange is the best. Yeah. He can just talk all the time.
Yep, he can talk all the time, all day, every day.
The Silite. Screw Oriange. He's a douchebag.
Doesn't mean he doesn't have
there's some butthurt going on there.
Just because he's a douchebag.
A sexy voice.
There you go.
That's right. Yeah, I need to rely on that all the time.
You know what?
I mean, apparently people
I knew you were going to run with that.
I bet Silite is just upset because Oriange wouldn't give the D to Moonbrita. Yeah, I think that's what she's probably
He's writing fan fiction about it, don't worry. It'll be online later.
Who is?
Oh, I'm joking, Silite.
Well, it's his penis and he can do whatever he wants with it.
That's true.
All right, that's going to do it for this episode of Limit Break Radio. Thank you guys for hanging out with us here on twitch.tv/Limit Break Radio. If you enjoy what we do, we hope you'll hit that follow button and come back and join us next Sunday. That's the 21st. Starting at around 2 p.m. in the afternoon, we will be live here with episode number 18 of Limit Break Radio. And again, you only have yourselves to blame, and that's because of your support over at patreon.com/Limit Break Radio, where we are up to $1,897 raised to support what we do here. And that allows us to be weekly and come to you each and every Sunday with our own unique version of Final Fantasy XIV podcasting and extend our own unique version of podcasting over into the general gaming universe. So make sure that you join us on the 28th for our very first episode of the final encounter cast,
when we drop the F-bomb.
That's right. We are going to be dropping the F-bomb all over the place. So make sure you tune in for that. It's going to be an exciting time. And we're super thrilled to be able to bring this to you. And again, it's because of your support through patreon.com/Limit Break Radio. Thank you guys so much. It's so awesome. Make sure that you check out our website, limitbreakradio.com. Follow us on Facebook. That's facebook.com/Limit Break Radio, twitter.com/Limit Break Radio, youtube.com/Limit Break Radio. All things /Limit Break Radio. I want to thank my co-host, Kalo Landis, Juxtaposition, Eskalia Ryumasa, and Nika Kyanian. I'm Aniero. Keep listening. Limit Break Radio is a production of LimitBreakRadio.com and Bender Media Productions. Final Fantasy XIV is a trademark of Square Enix. Opening music in this episode from Daniel Lambie. Listen to Man with the Machine Gun and other great tracks at Facebook.com/Daniel Lambie Metal Gamer. Closing in this episode provided by Husky by the Geek. Listen to this and other great Final Fantasy XIV and video game rock covers and original music at Facebook.com/Husky by the Geek. In-game graphics for Limit Break Radio's Twitch stream are provided by Diamond Multimedia. Check out their line of AMD graphics cards and other hardware at diamondmm.com. Limit Break Radio and its hosts are solely responsible for its content.